And we are live. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's the
Hi,
House of the Dragon
everyone.
post-game show with Nettles, and this week, Sean. Thanks for popping in this week, buddy.
I'm glad to be here. Very psyched.
How you feeling about the Jan Dragon show?
I watching my direct relatives over here just make political mistake after political mistake, and this is what incest will bring you.
Yes, it happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Oh, I'm sorry. Something in my throat there. I just put on the wig and funny things happen to your voice. Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
as always, subscribe to these folks if you have not. Hero of the Thousand Voices and Nettles, Girl Nettles, links in the description. And basically, thank you. We know you have choices out there. We are here to have fun and not necessarily go scene by scene, but try to get right into the most fun discussion topics, just because that's a fun way to go. So, wow, we had some fan theories. We had the Rat Feast, which was rumored. We had fake Daron Fake Out. There's definitely we could hand out some Liar of the Week award. I love the menacing feel of looking across the field at three dragons, shades of Aegon the Conqueror there, the Field of Fire potentially. So there's some dragon lore that was thrown out, some interesting dragon lore, which some of which is correct to the books, and some of which is not correct. But they also were talking about the video that I made last week, which is the difference between Valyrian and Targaryen dragon lords, and they're basically taking both sides of that argument in that conversation between Rhaenyra and Daemon. So lots of places to go. But Nettles, ladies first, what moved you the most from this episode? What scene do you want to start with?
Huh. Um, I don't I don't know about moved because I don't know if I was like moved with this episode. Like, I feel like we're coming down a little bit on episode 3. But I would like to just go ahead and start with a feminist rant. And and just talk about a scene that I think maybe should have moved me or should have been removed. Okay, and it's the scene where she says, "I'm bleeding," and like we needed to know that, like, oh, guys, she's on the rag, guys. Yeah,
It's hard being
like,
a woman, yeah.
oh no, but they can't, like, we can't put women in power because what if they bleed? Like, what are you guys talking about? What, we've seen her giving birth 5 times. We know, we get the anatomy is all there and functioning and stuff. So it just seemed like, again, like we had the trail of blood walking up the stairs with Lenore. Like, stop. So I thought that was just another example sometimes of like when I feel like they throw us like a here, there, like just stop talking. Like people complain, like, oh, we don't have women involved in directing and writing on these big shows or these big budget items. And so here there are women involved with this very episode. And like it just seems like they put women maybe as writers or directors to have them just be like either like a puppet or just like a non-factor. Like they don't pick the best writers, the best directors. They just pick any that will just, I don't know, go along with stuff. Because sometimes it doesn't seem like the scripts are written by women. It doesn't even seem like they've been directed by women, at least for like saying something to like the point of view. So it's like, what's the point? And I just hate that because then they could say that, oh, we do have women, but it's like you still don't have the perspective or you still make big mistakes. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, so a couple things there. One, that we know that definitely does happen. We don't have a psychic window into any particular boardroom to know who wrote what and what influenced what and all that. But that's not to say we know that that does happen. That people get placed as figureheads on top of stuff. But to get back to the episode, very interesting to hear your thoughts because that was my reaction too. As a man, as a white guy or whatever, like, I was watching, I was like, that seemed a little extra, almost like demeaning to put, like you said, we know that she's a woman and we've seen these, yeah, it seemed a little unnecessary. Yeah, I think you said you spoke to it. I see most of the chat pretty much kind of felt the same way. Like we didn't need one more thing to show that she was struggling. Like, it's hard to be a ruler and a monarch. They definitely hit that note in a lot of ways throughout the entire episode. So I didn't know. Yeah, but all right. So there's your first reaction, Sean. What did you think of Rhaenyra's struggles in King's Landing? It's hard being queen. It's not easy, you know.
No, it feels like she's lost a certain level of competency, where that she used to have. Like, she had good input and she had, she was thinking the right way. She seemed like a more competent ruler than her father when she was a teen. And that was really season one. And not even just when she was a teen, but that even carried over into, her being played by Emma Darcy towards the end of the season. Rhaenyra still had an air of competency. Like, you believed that this was the right person to rule from what they were showing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't feel that this way. You feel like she's completely overwhelmed. You feel like, and to a point, like, it's fair. There's a lot to overwhelm you here. And this isn't the same scenario as ruling during peacetime in a kingdom you inherited from Jaehaerys. Viserys had a much easier rule. But it feels like Rhaenyra has backslid and just hasn't. I don't know. It's disappointing. Like, I had a lot more respect for the character in season one. In the season since, it just feels like a different person, I guess.
Sometimes the writing is a little heavy-handed as far as getting across what they want us to understand about. Rhaenyra's conflicted. She's torn by grief. It's overwhelming being the ruler. Like, okay, like they definitely went. This still feels like episode 1 of the new season. Like the last two finished off the last season, and this was meant to there was supposed to be a break in tone between the writing here, and then we're starting off, and it almost seems like a bit of a montage, like it's all compressed just to show us the kinds of things that have been happening since she took the throne a couple days ago. But let me play devil's advocate, and because I do have my pet Baphomet here on my shirt, and I liked the rat feast. She didn't make anybody eat them. That would have been over the top, okay? But serving them and saying, look, this is what the people in the streets are eating, was a very good object lesson. I thought that was actually a pretty good way to get their attention. Shaking them down, you know what? You could say that's extreme. But if she just sent out letters, very sternly worded letters about render up your supplies and things, they'd be dithering and delaying and stuff like that. So she's setting the tone, like she's got to put her foot down somewhere. And so she chose the nobles who did, it seems, hoard the resources, as one does, when you're a rich noble. And she made a political display out of giving this largesse back to the people, which was a good political move because it generated the response she wanted, which was a cheering crowd. People in the crowd are seeing other people accept her as queen. They're seeing at least some measure. That's why Rhaenyra said it's a, what is it, a token or a gesture? What was the word they used? But it was something saying, oh, this isn't going to solve the problem permanently, but it's just a thing we can do. And it worked. Like it portrayed her as caring more about the common people than the nobles. And word's going to get out that the nobles were all upset about the rat feast. And people are going to be like, well, good, serves them right. We ate rats too. So I actually thought that was a pretty solid political move. But there was a lot of decisions either made or left to be made later in this episode. And it kind of made you go, man, she really needs a good hand of the king to take care of some of this stuff. Whose name is Corlys Velaryon, who she had a big friggin' fight with. So let's talk about that, because that was one of the worst spots for Rhaenyra this episode, I would say.
Yeah. I do want to say that I also disagree with Sean.
That's okay. Sean? You're allowed to. You guys are friends. It's not going to be tense. It won't be weird.
No, cool. I thought Rhaenyra was very competent. Like, she made every decision that I would have made. She has all these problems and none of them are her fault. And it reminded me of in our country when it's like you get your political party in office and you realize like there's like a mess to fix before you could do any of the things that you want to do. and like you have like good intentions, but like every time you're trying to do them, there's like something stopping you. So I love that. Like that was like the best seeing it like that. It's not a smooth transition.
No,
Well,
and you wouldn't expect it to be. And she is like Dave said, she's
But
missing a
take it
hand, and that's
back.
not all.
Take it back. She is competent. No, just kidding.
No,
I'm
I do.
just kidding.
I want to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, she's not just missing a hand; she's missing a master of coin. She has no money. Like there are a lot of issues, and I don't expect her to be able to just handle it. So if that was like, if I made it seem like she should have just been able to stroll in on day one and fix everything, that's not my intention. When I say that I feel like she's lacking competency, that's not something that I'm really restricting to this episode. Like in the way that she handled the little small council that she had on Dragonstone, in the way that, you know, she's handling her Queen's Guard, and like it felt like she had a little bit of dragon fire in her. And then as soon as there was an actual war, it disappeared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I was saying this in a way that kind of where I didn't express myself super well, but it does feel like a different character is what I guess I'm saying. And anyway, without going too far on a tangent like that, I do want to say that the issue that bothered me about this episode in terms of the way she handled it, it was Corlys.
Okay.
He is her most powerful vassal. He is a huge reason why she's on the throne, not just because he has two dragon riders or a dragon rider as a son, because he's had multiple people die for her in his family, and he is still your entire navy and the bulk of your army, and you need him.
Yeah.
And she's worried about, you know, how this would look if you legitimized his sons. Well, there's an issue of, it's not about how it would look, it's about how it is. And you lose a lot of military power when you insult your most powerful vassal that way. And frankly, at this point, he has more power than she does in militarily. So that was risky, and I don't know if she made the right call there. I think it was good that she did it in terms of the story, because that's kind of setting up how she loses control.
Yeah.
yeah, you see, if I could just get a quick one, and I would say, like, you could see what Rhaenyra's point is, as far as, like, there are concerns about the paternity. Like, I loved the way they were talking around it, by the way. That was really funny. A lot of funny stuff there. Like when Corlys is like, oh, when people doubted again, I forget the word, like the truth, you know, of your claim, I defended it, you know. It's like when they doubted, like, anyways. And then he finally said it, you know. He's like, look, your kids are bastards. So are mine. By what right do you have to deny me what you claim for your own kids? And we should point out, Joffrey is her last son and is heir to the throne. So even though Joffrey is Laenor's son, it's still essentially Corlys's line ending because he doesn't have an heir. And he's also saying to Rhaenyra in the privacy of that room with Adam and Alan, like, hey, you know those aren't my grandsons. I mean, we're all pretending here, but, like, those aren't my grandsons. My line is going to end if you don't allow me to legitimize these two fine sons of mine who have proven themselves. One is one of your dragon riders. The other is like the vice admiral of the fleet and is an obvious stalwart, reliable person. Because Corlys is, in the books, he's very old. It doesn't come across as much, but he's like 78 or something. And so if you're Rhaenyra, you're thinking, what about the guy after Corlys? I'm going to need a strong Velaryon admiral, and I'm going to need his loyalty. So I think overall, and obviously chat, debate this, and we'll catch up to the super chats in just a second. However, I think that the risk of losing Corlys's loyalty was greater than the risk of people talking about too many bastards and this and that. Like, you have dragons, you have Hugh and Ulf riding dragons. Like, you can kind of borrow some of Daemon's language, which we will talk about, and say, look, the dragons, you know, if you're riding a dragon, what are you going to really say? Like, the dragons are judged them pure of blood. Like, Alan is riding a dragon. Joffrey has a dragon. What does it really matter? Like, how much of... And if there's not a rival claim to the throne, then it's just annoying chatter. It's not something that's going to launch a rebellion. And that's why she had to send little fake Daron to the wall. Oops, it wasn't Daron. There's so many things to talk about.
Yeah. No.
Is that Game and
mean-
Pale Hair?
Oh, that would be funny. I didn't think about that. But let's not get into spoiler territory, but chat, feel free to speculate. That's a good call. I like that.
No.
Let's get to Daron. I want to go back to the Corliss thing real quick.
Okay. No, for me, like, I did kind of see it both ways. But when I was watching, I was like, Rhaenyra, nobody's checking for your sons. Like, stop it. No one's talking about that anymore. That was like last season. Like wait until it's a problem. Like, we're seeing that you're doing conquest. Like, you're taking it. Like, it doesn't matter. So I was like, so just do it. But then, like, I see why she's fearful. And then it's like, it's also just so raw. Like, don't talk about my sons. Like, no matter what the request was, you know what I mean? She just wants to keep it as it is. Like, don't tarnish their name. I don't want people saying that. But then again, Corliss was really wrong for looking at her and saying those kids are blood clots. B words, like yelling it. He was like, Steve, like the way he said it, I was just like, okay, all right. Like,
Vaemond Valerian was raising his fist from the grave, like, that's right, that's right. Say that shit.
I got beheaded for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so I'm like, okay. So they went back and forth, kind of like sharing the blame here, but so it's sticky. But she should do it as a favor. She should just do it.
Yeah, and we could come back to that later. Let's talk about Daron and Tessarion. The chat's all over. And first of all, shout out Grey Waste Tim, who will be back on the channel, obviously. Yeah, he's honestly, like, Tim, like, he's Tim. He's a book purist, and he was having a little bit of show rage, is how he put it to me. So he thought it would be cool to let a couple other people cycle in and talk about it. But he will be back. So shout out to Tim, and he's in the chat. He did a cool stream yesterday, by the way. So check that out on the Grey Waste Tim channel. And for Daron, so the fake out, a lot of people were on this because we saw the redheaded kid that looked a lot like Alicent's hair color or whatever. Like, oh, that looks like Alicent's son. And maybe they dyed his hair red. We'll find out. And he really has silver hair, but it doesn't matter. Like, if Viserys and Alicent have kids, one of them might come out with red hair. They don't all have to have silver hair, obviously. So, yeah, fake out. And the chat is also calling you out, Sean. Game and Pale hair is authentic. He has real silver hair, so that wouldn't necessarily make sense. They could obviously combine the plots or whatever. And I think that's how you meant it. Is that going to be our Game and Pale hair? But of course, Game and Pale hair, part of his plot is that he's one of Aegon's bastards from a brothel, supposedly, right?
Probably, or I guess so. There's Game and Pale Hair, and then there's the other one. There are two, and then one was the child of like some rower from Lys, apparently, or at least that's what they said after they tortured the mother.
That's Trystane Truefire.
Yeah. Okay. So, but for one, I think those characters will be combined, and neither of the characters became significant this early in the plot. So it would be like you're saying, a case of combining plot lines.
I just wanted to note that one. We don't have to dwell on that. Let's talk about Daron. Yeah. One of the big questions, I've seen it a couple times, why didn't they take the dragon? Because then they would have known that it wasn't him if he couldn't ride the dragon. Well, the last thing you would do with a hostage Targaryen prince is set him on his dragon. You would separate them. And that you saw, there was dragon keepers with Tessarion. We saw that one of them escaped from Tumbleton. But even before, we saw the dragon keepers keeping Tessarion. The prince doesn't have to sully his hands with poking and prodding the dragon. Like, we have the dragon keepers and their burnt scalps for that. And so basically, if you're Daemon and you're taking Daron hostage, you're going to keep the dragon and the prince separate. You're not going to stick him on the dragon. So that's why it worked. They took Daron hostage and brought him back, and then the Dragon Keepers are supposed to bring Tessarion home. But that's why we saw the other Dragon Keepers were killed. Ormond, he pulled some sort of plot. Maybe he had some that were loyal to him. We'll have to see how they're handling Tessarion. Oh, well, real Daron is there. That's right. Of course, real Daron is there. So he might be handling the dragon by himself now, because it sounds like all the other Dragon Keepers were killed. Doesn't it? He said he was the only one that escaped.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So,
Of that group of dragon keepers, that is, or did he mean he's the only one who escaped from Tumbleton?
From
uh,
Tumbleton, right?
well, the only one of the Dragon Keepers, I think, is
Right,
what he
right,
meant.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if that means like, are all the dragon keepers gone? Like, we should still have dragon keepers in King's Landing, right?
Oh yeah, just of the ones that were at Tumbleton, there's probably like
Right.
four or
Yeah,
something like that. It's just one dragon to handle. They would have been
yeah,
the ones that had been in Old Town with Jasarion this whole time, essentially. So that's
sure.
why the ploy worked, and I think we can probably give the Lord Vari's Liar of the Week award to Ormond Hightower. Were there any other? Well, Allison might have told some lies. Those might have been more like manipulations than lies. Who else was lying? Do we think that Maester Orwell is lying? He saw nothing, heard nothing, did nothing. That's according to him.
I believe him.
I don't think he would know about, like, I guess the death of a conspiracy is too many people knowing. So you try to keep those circles small, right? There's a rule, I don't know where it's from, but if 10 people or more know about a conspiracy, it does not stay a conspiracy.
Oh, I
So,
was told it when two people know something, it's no longer a secret.
well, it's a good point, right? Like, the idea is, if they told people who didn't necessarily need to know for the action to get executed, they're risking things. They're risking exactly this, right? Like, what happens if the maester gets compromised or kidnapped or something? So they probably told as few people as possible, and got it done very quietly. Um, in the books, I don't think there's ever, like, well, we don't want to give away spoilers, right? So, but the idea is,
We try not to. We fail often, but
right. But we're not going to learn a lot about these kinds of plots. They're played pretty close to the vest.
so the one clue that I pointed out before was that burned King Aegon, did escape in the cart of ravens. Now, that could have just been Laurie's commandeering that thing, but the ravens are the purview of the maesters. So that made me think, okay, Orwell might have been in on that escape. And so, yeah, I mean, they kind of played up the idea of a maester conspiracy or something. I mean, they were definitely laying some clues there in the first season, I felt like. So that could come back around. Some people even think Rhaenyra might be being poisoned. She was looking at her glass kind of weird in that one scene. I don't know if that's a thing. It's just something I've heard people talk about. But she was seeing like Jace's ghost walk in the hallway. Maybe that's just from lack of sleep. But we're going pretty far into Rhaenyra might be mad territory here, like in episode 1, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. I actually in my notes I put I can hear the bells just for this hinting, like we get that like tinnitus feeling, that ringing. So where's that where's that from?
It's
It's cool. It puts us in the mind of Rhaenyra, maybe, like if she's hearing that. Like, ooh.
There's a lot of tinnitus this week. There
I,
definitely
I have
was.
hounds. I wouldn't even know if I had tinnitus at this point.
But if
But yeah,
anyone's a hairspray fan, I can hear the bells as a song on Hairspray. That's what I think of.
no, I'm a fan of actual hairspray, obviously. But yeah, no, I like that they're kind of starting with that storyline now, because it's going to be a good while until, and a lot of the things that she's doing right now, the nobles will portray like, oh, she's crazy, because they don't like them.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the start of where other people portray her as crazy, but it's also the start of where all of this trauma is adding up. All of this stress and strain is adding up. Yeah, it's brutal, and every time she's starting to recover from various traumas, throw another one on the pile. And meanwhile, she's having to run the Seven Kingdoms. It's brutal, and I like how they're starting this now, because it's going to be a while before this really comes to fruition, and it felt rushed when they did it with Daenerys.
Right. Yeah. No, we've definitely got a lot more time for that, and we still haven't found Viserys' corpse, which is waiting. I still think they stuck it in a closet. They're gonna find it. The rats will have gotten to it. I look in the first scene where Rhaenyra is there, and there's a rat that runs by that she almost steps on. The rat has something in his mouth, and it looks to me like it was a little bit of a finger. I need to go back and freeze frame it. I could be spreading malicious lies. It could be me that's liar of the week. However, if we see Viserys and he's missing part of a finger, I'm just going to say, I'm going to make a video with a circle around the rat and Viserys' finger, put an arrow, and y'all better watch it. But
it'll be a 12-second video. Just, I'm right.
This is disgusting. Let's catch up with the super chats. Thank you for sending them in. I let them go for a little bit so we can have a good discussion, and then I catch up to several at once. It makes for a smoother show, so we do appreciate y'all. All hail lovely Lady Nettles, Sir Tim of the Grey Waste, and Sir David Lightbringer. This came in before the chat. Tim is not obviously here, but Sean, you're lovely too. I called you lovely before we even went live as soon as I saw your wig.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank you guys for creating a positive space where we could talk about the show. It's such a relief after Twitter and Reddit. And that's not to say that we don't criticize. You know, Nettles started off with a critique, which I agreed with, and that's fine. But we're not here to hate watch anything. That's the point. And our chat is lovely. So thank you. Really, it's a credit to you guys. And all the people that we've banned that aren't here. Genuinely love that the Manderleys stay loving a good food joke up until the current timeline. What did Torrens say? He did have a good little appearance there, Torrhen Manderley.
I loved that. Nettles and I were talking about that when you were before the stream. Like, just that he's a fantastic actor, and it's wild that they put an American so prominent in.
We were gushing about it. Yeah.
Oh, is he? He's an American actor.
Yeah,
he is. You've seen him in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and he's been in a few other things. You mentioned The Walking Dead.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, what did he say? He was basically saying, oh, that was a hand well played, and, you know, he thought it was funny. But where was the food joke? I missed that.
I don't know about the food.
Calling her out. He was like, lest they forget that you're the one that did the blockade. And then before that, he said, I guess maybe the joke is that Manderleys is worried about food.
That was a good little barb that he had, though, too. It was like, yeah. That was your blockade. You know, from a certain perspective, one could make the argument that you're the reason why everyone was going hungry. So I do want to come back. I mean, there's a lot to say about Rhaenyra trying to be queen and the act of being queen. So we'll return to that conversation. Let me, City of Winged Men. Yeah, Tim, I thought of you as soon as he said that. There's a city at the edge of the world where men have wings. I was like, oh, Grey Waste Tim reference right there. That's a crowd pleaser. So that is beyond the Grey Waste. But yeah, let's get back over to the chat. What was I saying? Yeah, the Torrhen Manderley was good. We'll see more of him in King's Landing, I'm sure. So more jokes are forthcoming with that guy, it seems like. It may be a bit heavy-handed, but I have to say I trust my own uterus to betray me and be hooting and hollering at my first petition day. Right. Okay. Relating to Rhaenyra's experience, like, of course that would happen. Sort of just questioning the choice to include it in the episode. But I guess everything was just going wrong. Why not that too? Right. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah. The throne didn't cut her, but she still bled. Yeah, that's true. They were showing, she's like touching the throne and it hasn't cut her yet, but she's talking about bleeding. Like, I'm sure these things, eventually we could see this coming.
That was deep.
Well, and what I like about this is this kind of dovetails towards something else. There is a big theme in all of George's books about worthiness and how it's displayed. And in the most obvious versions of this is you see like the sword Dawn, right? Mm-hmm. You only get it if you're worthy, and if you get it and you're unworthy, you're a sword of the evening. With this is the chair decides if you're if you're worthy. The throne, the Iron Throne. And so it is still saying she's worthy. She's bleeding, but it's like you have to bleed, you have to give up a part of yourself to rule. It's kind of like something Alicent was saying, like you don't come through this unscathed, but it's
kill
not
the boy.
What?
Kill the boy.
Yeah, definitely to an extent. And like it's just interesting because she is still worthy, but I don't think it stays that way. And that's something that the Maesters talked about very pointedly, is that the throne is cutting her. So wonder when that starts.
And we've seen that little clip from Ormond saying, "Oh, bit by bit, we'll undermine her rule and show the people she's unfit." So we know there's going to be this campaign. Go ahead, Nettles.
No, it's actually lies. The throne never cut her. The book is not this. It's not a ring camera. The book is not a ring camera.
Don't get those, by the way. You're a tool for Big Brother if you have one of those. Don't get one. In any case, they're storing that shit in the data centers.
Listen, the
No,
book.
you're right.
You're hate.
People like that Orwell. Orwell's one of the sources.
Yeah. The Macers were at Dave Chappelle's haters ball saying, hate. Okay.
These are facts.
That's who it was written by. So,
true. We shouldn't assume. We shouldn't assume.
Tongue. Yeah. So I'm still rooting that it never cuts her, but we'll see.
They could just be playing with the expectation.
Yeah.
And that she actually won't. That could be. Or it'd be funny if they start saying that it happened and it didn't. But yeah, no, thank you for mentioning that, Nettles. You're right. Yeah. We can't assume that. The High Septon, exactly. He might appreciate a good road crew dragon, which does help. They can create things. Exactly, Grey Waste Tims. That's a great point. They said the dragons can't create stuff. They can create big fused stone fortresses and roads. And also Westeros.
The 7 kingdoms.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And other dragons.
True enough. Yeah.
No, that Septon was wild. So I bet he's not going to coordinate her at all. And maybe that's why they lied about her in the history books, like not writing that she was a ruler.
I think that I was just going to say she loses points for not beheading him on the spot or having him arrested. Like Maegor would have beheaded him before the second sentence was out of his mouth. I think Daemon would have gotten there in the third or fourth sentence. Even Jaehaerys would not perhaps have stood for that. That was quite a lot that he had to say.
Well, frankly, I think there's an element of misogyny there. I'm not even going to say I think. There's an element of misogyny there. He would not have said that to Maegor or Daemon. He thought he could get away with it. And there's an element of, the faith of the seven and all culture, like all of that. They are not welcoming to women ruling. They are not okay with it. That's kind of why we had a war in the first place, is that Westeros and Westerosi culture is not okay with this. The Targaryens and Valyrians were absolutely okay with women inheriting. We would not have had to go through all this. So it's definitely that he thought he could get away with it, and he is basically threatening her.
We're going to go for 30 minutes on that one. And, should do the trick. Anyways, I think you're right, Sean. I think you're right. Like I said, we know that the faith isn't really comfortable with the dragons and that this has been something they have fought over with Maegor and Jaehaerys, sort of conciliated and / intimidated, in the election of the Pope, or not the Pope, what am I saying? The High Septon, the Pope, that was compliant with supremacy theory. But yeah, they're right to highlight this. Like, this is a constantly boiling tension that the Targaryens have with the faith. And I think it was well depicted in the sense that, yeah, he did mouth off a little more than he might have to Daemon, but I think he's running a big risk. Like, I could see that guy getting arrested or executed. Absolutely. Like Rhaenyra's, we don't know where this is going. There was definitely some dark moments in this episode. As the caption said, ominous music playing as she's looking at the child in the bed and holding the little wooden horse or whatever it was.
And blacking out and waking up in the carriage like, why am I in the carriage?
You look tired today.
Who, me?
How's he whittling? How did they let this kid have a weapon and she's just visiting him and there's no guard between them and he's been whittling a wooden horse? Just seems like bad process to me.
It was a clue because the Targaryen would be whittling a dragon. Like, what are you whittling a horse for? That's not, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a bird.
Oh, it might have been a bird. Yeah, it might have been a bird. It wasn't a dragon.
I don't know.
That's the point. Yeah. It's a bird. It was an owl. A raven. Okay, yeah. Sorry. It was something common like that. Yeah. So, Tommy of Then is sharing my Dracomorph theory. Literally, you can create stuff with dragons. It's the worms that do the blood engineering. Let's go back to the super chats here so I can clear my conscience. A shout out to Isle of Toads Tourism Board, speedy recovery. Know you're dealing with a little wrist thing, so wish you well, homie. Was Rhaenyra eating duck at dinner? Was that a reference to her her episode 1 combo with Laenor? Is this maybe the real reason she doesn't want to legitimize? I don't think that would be the reason, no.
It might be a good parallel.
I don't know if I'd give the show that much credit, but maybe. I think they were talking about Goose. Anyway.
They
wasn't it
both.
Goose?
So they said, I prefer duck, I prefer goose. And it's like a symbolic metaphor for like, I like boys and...
Oh, no, I got the metaphor.
Hot dog. I like
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't for
the...
you, Dave.
Okay.
I know you dabble in metaphor from time to time.
No, that one, I am innocent. I was raised, in a conservative home. I missed a few things, but not that naive. So I predict they will make Rhaenyra seeing Viserys' decaying body a vision, like her seeing Jace in the hallway. That could be. That's up in the air now. I'm sticking with my theory. They let him rot. He's in a closet. He's in a storage closet with the Lego City. Oh, how about Alicent's line? Viserys lived in a realm of his own creation, and neither you or I have ever set foot there, or something like that. That was some pretty good writing. I enjoyed that quite a bit. That was I love it when you can indict somebody's entire reign or life or work or whatever in one sentence, and it's like, we just burnt that to ash. Like he did. I literally lived in a little Lego world of his own creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit disappointing. So this is one of the things that I was talking about when I say like the characters changed, because when in season 1, both Emma Darcy and Millie Alcock, the character that they're portraying was really frustrated with Viserys, and a lot of and that's kind of why there was an alliance there with Daemon, because she was kind of the middle ground between Daemon's stance on things, which is just kill it, and Viserys, where there's a lot of dithering. And she didn't idolize him as a ruler. I think they all knew he was a good man, but he was not a great ruler. And he left most of the rule of the realm to Otto. And so now she's kind of sanctified him post-death, which makes sense. That's not, an out-of-character thing for somebody to do. So, but she is making him look like he was, a lot better ruler than he was. And she got reality checked a little bit.
Yep. I think she remembers rightly that her father was a good man in the sense that he tried to do the right thing and stuff. Him taking Alicent as a wife was very questionable on a lot of levels. But for the most part, he's not Daemon or something. But Alicent is right. Like, your job as king is not to be nice. It's to live in reality and rule the realm. And didn't really do a good job of that. So yes, it's not quite Dany like coming. Sorry, I've got a little frizz in my eyes. I'm trying to get rid of it. It's not quite. Dany's going to have to grapple with her father's misrule, the legacy of Aerys. That is much heavier to deal with, but it's a fact. Everybody that has talked about this show and Fire and Blood has come to the conclusion that Viserys might be at the very top of the list for who gets blame for this war. Otto's right up there. I think those two are like 1 and 2 here. So. But let me get through a couple of these. So Lady Liz didn't find the period demeaning. Having endometriosis, shout out to people who deal with that. I can't tell you how much worse it makes your day. I saw it more as the worst possible time. Yeah, I guess that's kind of thing. It's like, you had a bad day. Da-da-da-da. Like, she needed a Snickers, It was that kind of thing for sure. So much chaos energy this episode. Rats and petitions. Felt very claustrophobic. Yes, that hallway scene especially. And Cersei energy, they're in the walls feeling, a bit. And they're doing it's almost like impressionist filmmaking there, where it's like, is we supposed to be in Rhaenyra's head? And the stuff is like, kind of exaggerated because everyone's talking over each other in like this crazy way. It's like a media Scrabble, when the president or somebody's walking by and everyone's like, Mr. President. It's basically that. So, yeah, that's intense. And maybe this is a good point to stop just real quick and say, this is what you're fighting for. Like, as much as we can understand, a lot of this stuff isn't your fault and all this and that. Like, if you're claiming the throne or the presidency or anything, the right to rule, you need to have a plan. Nobody's accepting any excuses. The buck stops here. it's on you. You have to delegate. You have to, if you're short of gold, you have to find a way to come up with gold, or your rule's not going to last. And Damon is really kind of going full Euron in this episode a little bit. Just like, we're gods, we can claim Yi, we can rule anything we want to. We have all these dragons. And Rhaenyra's like, I haven't heard this plan before. This is a new idea, kind of a little out of left field, but it's not surprising as far as the kind of archetype of Dragon Lord that Daemon. He's a Valyrian, enthusiast, purist. He wants to reestablish it. He wants to bring it back, all that kind of stuff. So what do you guys think about that? Sean, I guess we'll go to you first. This whole Daemon versus Rhaenyra angle on what it means to be a Dragon Lord and a ruler, or to claim the throne in general, and just, having a plan when you take the throne.
So one thing I want to kind of draw attention to is she is kind of stuck between Daemon and Viserys in terms of what kind of ruler she wants to be, and Daemon being heavy-handed pushed her back towards Viserys, where she's very much like, what would my father do? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Another thing that's kind of interesting, and I like this because usually when we do an adaptation book to show, we lose a lot of the symbolism. And one of the big inspirations for Daemon the Rogue Prince is Bellerophon from Greek mythology.
Okay.
And he destroyed a bunch of monsters, and he was basically unbeatable and invincible. And he was the one who actually rode Pegasus in Greek mythology. And what ends up happening to him is he ends up deciding, I should be a god. And it's his fatal flaws, arrogance. And he ends up trying to fly Pegasus up towards the heavens and join them on Olympus to become a god. And his arrogance and Zeus's arrogance kind of get territorial, and he gets shot down and dies. And so he could defeat any monster, but his own arrogance kind of took him down. And that's kind of like, we get more of an arc with Daemon, but a lot of the same character traits in the journey are very similar.
Yeah, I think that's well said. It sounds like a sort of an Icarus, sort of a Prometheus, Lucifer, rising up against God and declare. Yeah, that all makes sense. And Nettles, as I give this to you, I'll just point out that Rhaenyra, essentially, she did a Daemon-like thing with that rat feast, but it was a targeting the enemy that Daemon was like, oh, don't worry about that. Who cares about the commons? So she disagreed with him tactically, as far as or strategically, like which problem to address. She's like, no, I'm going to address the nobles. But then she did a Daemon-like thing by setting them down and shoving the rats in their face and be like, oh yeah, my guards are already robbing your storehouses blind. So it's a little bit of a fusion of some of the things she's hearing from Daemon, but also her own impetus. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say I loved, maybe that was my favorite scene, is the rat scene, because I just felt like that was so beautifully done. It was so Shakespeare, so rock and roll. Like the rats itself, like that looks so disgusting, and yet you knew exactly what it is. And then, yeah, to be giving them the shakedown. But, please don't be a traitor and lie on the king consort. I think the reason that he was talking about Yi and like conquering all these lands is because he's fresh off thinking about the long night. And like, I know, like in the show, it just happened up north, one battle, one and done. But, maybe it's supposed to be something that does take over like the entire world, because every nation, like they have some story of the long night. They have some either like like the last hero like equivalent, which is like a different characters with him, or like whatever different name. So it's something that's supposed to touch all the nations. So I feel like Daemon's thinking of uniting them by ruling over them so that they could be ready to face this.
This was a delicious thing that they gave us book fans. Obviously, this question of, okay, so you have a little glimpse of prophecy. What are you going to do about it? Like we see in the books, everyone has a different reaction to the red comet. and thinks that it means that whatever their current plans are definitely a great idea. And we've seen this with the Targaryens, different people reacting to the prophetic dreams. That's how we got Summerhall, Aerion Brightflame, also Daenerys. These are all Targaryens trying to interpret their psychic prophetic dreams and take these sort of crazy actions. You know, they're performing miracles or debacles. You know, with Daenerys, it was a miracle. With Egg, it was a debacle. And so this is interesting. Daemon, we know he's gotten this direct glimpse, not just reading the knife, but literally he's having these Weirwood-induced visions of Dany and various things. And it's like, oh, it's interesting to see what he has made of it. It's like, oh, it means that we're gods and should rule over everyone. It's like, oh, okay, that you might be filtering that through your own bias there a little bit.
Well, has he become one of the old gods by seeing, green seeing at this point? So I don't know. We get into some interesting territory there. But I do like the kind of fresh take on how do you handle prophecy, because it is a very tired trope, I think, of you meet destiny on the road you choose to avoid it. So you see the prophecy and you try to fight against it and end up causing it to happen. Whereas, like Nettles here is telling us not to, besmirch the good name of Prince Daemon here. He is actually probably somewhat trying to prepare for that. He's not trying to make sure it doesn't happen. He's trying to make sure they're prepared.
In a Daemon type of way. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's like his version of what we should do about this. Because the prophecy doesn't give you step-by-step guide. Here's exactly what to do. It just kind of gives you glimpses of things. And then, that's the whole point of giving us the Melisandre POV chapters, to show us she's trying her best and she's amongst the best at reading the flames, but she's still guessing at a certain point. It's educated guess, but she's guessing.
And she's guessing wrong.
She's guessing wrong. Why do the flames keep showing me Jon Snow and ask for Azor Ahai? I want to see Stannis.
Because I mistook the trope of glimpse beyond the veil for symbolic metaphor, and it has never stopped screwing me over.
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh, I said, because I mistook the idea of glimpse beyond the veil for symbolic metaphor, and it has never stopped screwing me over.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about Marwyn and prophecy, and the saying. We can't repeat it because it's Marwyn, but it's inappropriate. Okay, so going back through here, we are going to catch up to all the super chats. And Damon talking about the edge of the world, men with wings, made me think of your videos about Ashai and just the many unknowns of this world. Thank you. And again, do subscribe to Grey Waste Tim, who's also known to talk about the city of winged men now and again. But we do thank you. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. A lot of people have been watching the Ashai and Stygiai video lately, so cheers and thank you. And of course, I put one out last week about the difference between Targaryen and Valyrian Dragon Lords, which again is kind of like Rhaenyra versus Daemon. Rhaenyra's like, let's put all that in the past. The doom, signaled the end of that way of life, and we're here to rule justly and this and that. And Daemon's like, we can be Valyria 2.0. So it's exactly the difference in philosophy that I was talking about, or at least adjacent to. Rat Feast seems like a Rat King metaphor for the overconsumption of the lords, or comparing Rhaenyra's decision with Tumbleton, got to do what you must. I mean, they're running the class. This was a big episode for class war all over. But the Rat Cook at the Night Fort is a little different. The Rat King metaphor, is that a different... Sean, is she referring to... Not she, Kestrel the Weirseer. I have no idea. But yeah, what are they referring to, the Rat King metaphor?
So I don't know if this is necessarily directly addressing the Rat King. The Rat King's based on two things. It's based on the dinner in Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus, where the exact same thing happens. They cook somebody into pies.
Yeah, so there wasn't any cooking people into pies here. It was more of a class lesson. I think it was not meant to evoke the Rat Cook myself. It was more a question of class. And I thought it was a great object. Let's see. Okay, maybe go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing.
Okay.
Guess right wasn't an issue.
Maybe I was less done than I thought. This episode was like Cersei on steroids, streamlining the dismantling of her power. I ate it up. I thought that this episode was slightly jarring after the last episode as far as like it's a whole new vibe going on. However, this episode was internally consistent. And I think they did a pretty good job of, even if it was slightly over dramatic or condensed feeling, they're giving you the idea of how heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
It's obviously not easy. Most people wouldn't want to be president. I mean, I wouldn't want to be president. Good Lord, it's a hard job. Or at least even mayor. I mean, they promoted me to assistant manager at Guitar Center. And I was like, whoa. This is a lot of responsibility. I have to tell people to vacuum and stuff. How do you do that?
I would totally be president, like right now.
I would vote for you. Nettles. I don't necessarily co-sign to all of your ideas, but you know what? F it. We got to get some stuff done.
Can we get politician, Tom? Can we get that?
No. The answer is no.
No.
So that's cool. And if you didn't like the episode, don't mind you saying so in the chat. If you're bombing the chat with like multiple comments about effing sucks and that, I might put you on timeout like I did that one person. So that just kind of kills the vibe. But it's not like happy thoughts only. Like that's not it either. I mean, you can say what you want. Just act like you're at a party with a bunch of cool people and you're not trying to kill the vibe. That's basically it. And that's what we're doing.
Civil.
Yeah.
Be civil. It's fine. Criticism is fine.
So we have a little historical accuracy coming from Lady Lil's. Viking and people of the Middle Ages could in fact bleach their hair. Yes, with lime juice. We know this. Mineral lime. We've been through this. It's a mix of strong lye soap, vinegar, plant extracts, urine, or lime, quick lime. You can use a lot of different things, actually. I looked this up again after misinforming people that you can dye your hair with lime juice. And again, apologies if anyone did that. It doesn't work. Lemon juice will lighten your hair a little bit, which is how I got confused about that. But yes, there are many ways to lighten hair. So that is not anachronistic. That is fine.
Yeah. I accidentally overdid it.
You did overdo it. You did. Are you going to cut those off for locks of love or whatever you did last time?
Yeah, I am. They deserve this.
They do.
I don't understand.
Brienne's
that was a terrible joke. But no, it's a great organization.
Oh, I thought it was better than a lot of your other jokes.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. But yeah, no, it's actually a good organization. And if you have long hair and you don't mean to have long hair anymore, donate to that or another. It's really nice for the people who are able to receive it and can't grow hair.
Serious. Sean actually did grow his hair out and cut it off like a year ago or 2 years ago. So he's not kidding. He actually did do that. What is your thought about all the battles we've missed? You should watch my video about that, linked in the description below, where I did little murder rectangles for all the battles from Fire and Blood, because I had a feeling we might get skimped on some of this. However, that was not fake Tumbleton. Tumbleton is setting up, they're building it up. Tumbleton, because now the Greens have taken it and they're hunkering down there to commit their treason. And Ormond knows once he sent the fake, like this is a ticking time bomb, she's going to find it. And this whole peace deal, basically just a ruse to buy them time. They're not going home. And that's why Damon was like, we should have just roasted them. You could make the argument, then you're kind of somewhere on the spectrum of at least as bad as Aegon and his sisters at the Field of Fire, to Maegor the Cruel burning the Sept of Remembrance, or Visenya making Starry Sept a new Harrenhal. But this is the whole thing about being a warlord ruler. You do have to be willing to burn people, or else they're going to disobey. You're ruling by force and fear at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's a very different social contract. And we're always trying to find the happy medium for good rulers. And we've always talked about Jaehaerys as kind of that gold standard, where he was somewhat threatening in a very subtle way when he showed up on his dragon at a place, but he was able to usually solve it without getting violent. And at the far ends of that spectrum, you get Aenys and Maegor, and nobody wants to be either of those people.
And then here we have Daemon trying to be nice trying to follow advice of sappy, bleeding heart liberals like me or whatever, whoa, it should be a nice dragon lord to rule by consent. And Daemon's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll do that. And look what happens. So don't expect mercy next time.
Yeah. But they were silly to think that the high towers were going to bow. On this one, a marriage, you got to choose your battles.
I was just going to say,
go ahead.
John Roxton wasn't cast to sit there with his Valyrian steel sword orphan maker to just surrender and not swing it at anybody. I am sorry for interrupting. Carry on.
No, go ahead. No, but I'm just saying, relationships to compromise. Like, I'll let you have this one, you let me have the next one. She should have let Daemon have this one and roasted them. And just high towers, if it was like anyone else, sure, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to offer the enemy a chance to kneel and yield before you burn them. I mean, if you don't do that, then that's pretty tough. You know what I mean? But trust and verify. All they did was take Daeron hostage, and yeah, they probably should have made them throw down their arms, confiscated all their weapons, something like that. But it's okay. They're, some of those details are getting glossed over a little bit. The point is, they pulled a ruse. They pretended to submit. They're not submitting. Bold John Roxton does have Orphan Maker across his back, and he will swing it at somebody before the season is over. So, yeah.
But this is definitely a reminder to go to your family reunion so you know what your family members look like. Like, Daemon, that's your actual blood nephew who has a dragon. You like dragons so much, don't you, Daemon? Let's just go to the family reunions, guys.
Rhaenyra is now wearing more elaborate braids in her hair, a parallel to Dany as she gained more and more power. Perhaps, I could see that. She wore basic straight braids before, and now she has interwoven braids. Her clothing, too, is more armor-like. They're doing a great job. Yeah, it's not as over the top as Cersei taking the throne, although I thought some of Cersei's outfits kind of slayed in the late seasons. But, I agree with all that.
Gotta love Caroline. She's a supporter we share.
Very good. Caroline Clay, shout out. So they're going to leave Ormond in Tumbleton and burn Old Town, right? The army is gone and there are no dragons there. Quincy, you are hereby nominated for some sort of spot on Rhaenyra's council, which is very empty. She needs good men about her, Quincy, and I think that you're talking sense here. We'll see if they cover this, what Daemon suggests that they do about this Tumbleton thing. But no, I don't see any holes in that plan. You do have to confront Ormond's army at Old Town, but at Tumbleton. But going to Old Town first is an interesting idea. You're thinking ahead there. I like that. # war crimes.
Sometimes that's definitely the Daemon end of the spectrum. Like, oh yeah, we'll deal with Tumbleton, but they're hunkered down now. They're not going anywhere. Let's go burn Old Town. And that's some Tywin Lannister stuff.
Yeah, because they're now fortified at Tumbleton, and so it's like, well, let's draw them off, out into the open where we can fight them easier. But at the same time, they still only have one dragon, Tessarion, who's a smallish dragon, and you saw Vermithor, Silverwing, and Caraxes on the field. I mean, that's menacing right there. That was intimidating.
Yeah. You mentioned King Jaehaerys before about being like that balance between just soft enough, just hard enough. But he rode Vermithor, and we saw a bit of Vermithor's personality. And if a person shares the personality of their dragon, that means Jaehaerys was meaner than we thought. Just burning people to say hi.
Well, Jaehaerys, I was thinking about making a video. So chat, let me know if you want a Life of Jaehaerys and Alysanne produced video. I was thinking about doing that, actually. He did some pretty interesting stuff that I found when I was doing the Septon Barth video. But he killed some people with Vermithor, and he certainly did not hesitate to make very clear threats with Vermithor as well.
Yeah.
And so we see Daemon doing the same thing here, essentially with the same dragons, Vermithor and Silverwing. Pretty cool. Love the shot of the joke to Ulf, hey Ulf, how'd you like to be Lord of Old Town? You know, and Hugh's having a little chuckle. He thought that was funny. And so you could see potentially, without getting into book spoilers, you can see where some of these plot lines from Fire and Blood are slowly being adapted here, you know. And obviously Rhaenyra's got this running issue of just how much to promote these people. Like, she won't give Adam and Alan the Velaryon name. She's knighted them all. Ulf wants a castle. We know that you don't get a castle for being a knight. So, like, they have very big dragons, and you might want to be nice to them. Grey Waste Tim, member for 56 months. Look at that. Squisher member Tim. Much love to Nettles. Good luck, Sean. I think I read this already. That's okay. Hi, Tim, again. Oh, I skipped these two that I just hearted, too. Damon knows ball. City of Winged Men. Absolutely. Of course he knows ball. Hate that Nettles was cut, but looking forward to seeing what they do with Damon and Rhaena in the Vale and them bonding. So, yeah, Rhaenyra has not forgotten about Sheepstealer. She has... Aegon and Viserys are dead to her. Her children with Daemon, she's not mentioned them once. She's called for Joffrey to be brought to King's Landing, but those two kids she has with Daemon have not been mentioned this season at all, I will just point out. But she wants to know who Sheepstealer's rider is. I kind of like that. It's like, oh, there's somebody riding this dragon. We don't know who it is. We don't know what side they're on. Like, that's kind of a cool wild card, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's how the Greens felt when Vermithor, Silverwing, and Sea Smoke were claimed. They didn't know who those people were, and they're trying to figure it out. So,
well, in one thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I just said mirror to back.
No. So kind of an interesting thing is it's portrayed as part of Rhaenyra's madness about how she deals with Nettles in the books, and this isn't spoilers because there is no Nettles. So we stole Nettles, but so the kind of the bonding that Daemon has with Rhaenyra, like, and the fact that Rhaenyra already has a reason to be upset at Sheepstealer and Sheepstealer's rider, it makes that whole plot line a lot more sympathetic for Rhaenyra.
Yes, I think it's working pretty well as far as being a cause of dissension. We will have to see when Daemon figures out who the rider is and if he shares that with Rhaenyra or how that's discovered. That's going to cause some drama, clearly. No doubt. She thinks the boys are safe with Rhaena, but in the Vale, and they were talking about recalling Joffrey from the Vale. But yeah, no mention. I'm just teasing. I know they're not dead to her. Obviously, I'm just joking anyway. Yeah. I'm just saying they haven't mentioned him.
Well, Daemon kind of indirectly brings it up when he says, our children will rule. And I thought that was kind of interesting because he's like, did you forget that her heir is still not your child? Like, there's still one more in the way, Daemon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's just talking collective, like a good stepdad. Yeah. He's just talking collectively.
Once again, do not sully this man's name. He considers all of them.
No.
Hey, we're going to need a new emperor of ET, Sean.
The girls are supposed to be ruling too, so like he, all of his children, he met.
Well, like I said, we're going to need a new emperor of ET, apparently. So there's lots of job openings coming up. The Great Council of 101 and misogyny laid the foundation for the dance. Rhaenys, the queen that never was, should have been queen. That's very true. There is a lot of blame to go around. Oh, tapping out of the wig. That's okay, Sean.
I am. It's too much. It's hurt.
Dude, you've got a... What kind of shirt are you wearing?
Oh, it's my dragon riding leathers.
No I see. Yeah.
Dragon riding leathers. Duh.
You have kind of a How to Train Your Dragon cartoon swoopy hair thing going on anyway. So I could.
Oh yeah. Well, when you're up flying as much as I am, it's not good for your hair, and I have too much hairspray in it to begin with.
That's true. Weird things happen, the cross currents and things. Yes, clearly 101 is kind of where the story starts. I mean, you can even go back to Jaehaerys skipping over his fights with Alysanne about who should be heir before then. That led to 101, but basically, yes. And Otto, in the Fire and Blood timeline, Otto and the Maesters may have, Vaemond also, who was a Targaryen that became a Maester, may have strongly influenced that council in their decision. That's a whole different conversation. But yes, you are correct, Eric. Hey guys, do you think HBO should stick with the prequels and flesh out the world, or should they risk it and do sequels to the original Game of Thrones show? I think that sequels to Game of Thrones, meaning like further down, which we have heard that they're exploring those ideas. I mean, I kind of believe in the power of creative writing to solve any problem. Like there is an idea out there somewhere, Arya exploring the lands beyond the ocean or something like that might be cool. But for the most part, they made this hard by giving the people an ending that they did not want, which is what Dave and Dan said they were doing. We knew we were giving them an ending they didn't want. And so I don't know why you would say that, but they did say that. So yeah, that's going to be tough. But I do think there's a lot of room in the world to do shows. And overall, I'm happy that they're doing shows. I always start out optimistic, you know.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini, so I just say, why not both? Let's do prequels and sequels. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I explored the Jon Snow possibilities in a video when that first was being talked about, but unless you're going back for more lore with the others, it's kind of limited.
Yeah. I'm also a Gemini, so I'll take whatever I can get. I just want it to be well written.
How many people are on this panel? Does that mean there's 5 people on the panel? I'm a Pisces. I've got a double sign too. So
Let's not pretend that the 4 personalities of Nettles and I get separate bodies. We still legally count at.
There's a lot.
I wouldn't vote twice.
I'm between two Gemini. It's like between two hedges or whatever. What ferns? Yeah.
A shout out to one of my next videos. It's about Dionysus, Orphic Dionysus and Zagreus. It's called Between Two Vines.
Clever, Sean. That joke was definitely, I'd say, in the upper 50 percentile of your jokes. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, it didn't have to work hard to get to the upper 50 percentile.
I was leaving that part unsaid. That was my joke.
Good.
So River Mist Faye has donated gift memberships. Thank you, River Mist Faye. J-Mo, I think Rhaenyra thinks the rats she keeps seeing are signs of what she's going to that she's going to be betrayed. And part of the rat feast was also symbolic in what we do to rats betrayers. Okay, I like that. The rats definitely have symbolized traitors and maesters and things like that. And so she's cooking them. It's sort of like she's trying to own the narrative and show the rats who's boss and stuff. We need the cats, though. We need the army of cats.
Yeah, when are they going to bring them? I guess.
Maybe next episode.
Yeah, someone should think of bringing them. That'd be great. I will say that that's one thing that surprised me about this show is like the feeling of the rats. Like I'd be staying in a hotel. I don't do rats. Like I can't imagine moving into like your new place and it's infested with rats. You know how many rats it takes to infest a castle? A lot more than your house.
That's a good point.
It's a lot of rats. So you're laying down and like she's like tripping over them at council meetings. So that's like you're not sitting easy. And like they can't get rid of them. They have mighty dragons. You think infinite power, but it's like, yeah.
They should. You have an idea here. They should evacuate the Red Keep, get everybody out, and let the dragons just roast the thing. You might melt it a little bit, but it would just look more gothic and cool, and you'd get rid of all the rats. So
yeah,
it's either that or the cats.
So kudos to the show for portraying that and making us feel that ickiness.
Yeah, that's why mostly I liked this episode, and we'll go ahead and rate it in a second. Eric Milligan says they should turn the high tower into a low tower. Hey, look, I like how you're thinking, but that's offensive. Don't destroy the high tower. It's in our intro, you know.
Yeah.
It's in the
Dave's
intro.
trying to go up to the top of that and start like screaming prophecies down to the people and doing magic and crimes up there, and you're gonna knock him out of his tower. That's rude. Somebody else wants to set it on fire, like attack Old Town. Like, damn, guys.
I really feel like it's just something that Visenya says all the time. She's like, we should make such and such a new Harrenhal. We should make it's like, oh, this guy won't pay us tax. We should make his castle the new Harrenhal. She's like old and in her chair. We should make it a new Harrenhal. It's like, okay, settle down, Grandma. But she did want to make the Starry Sept a new Harrenhal. That's what she wanted to do. And
she's just jealous she didn't get to make the original Harrenhal.
Sing me that song of Harrenhal before you go to sleep.
Yeah, she wants this. She's like Bran with the like. I want the scary story every night. She just all she wants to talk about is Harrenhal. And we saw Aemond also. You know, he reburned Harrenhal a bit last week just to make sure. So,
Oh, amen.
but now
We
just
need to see him.
yeah, we didn't see him this week. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wore my
I was
goat
actually-
shirt. I was hoping for some Alice pet goat, and we didn't get it.
Something.
I was looking forward to that storyline the most.
Yeah.
I'm really yeah.
That and Ulf picking his name is just peak. Like, he finally made me laugh, guys. Ulf the Sot. He finally made me laugh when he was like, they're like, well, what do you want to tell yourself? He's like, Targaryen? Like, no, dude. No.
Yes, I cackled. That was a riot. He never stops being funny because he's just always too like, dude, what? Settle down, Ulf.
No.
Settle down.
No, I've been hating on him up until now. I'm like, okay, you're trying to make me laugh. It's not working, but this time I laughed.
There will be, yeah. People are going to root for Ulf at this point, whether he commits rights or wrongs. There will be people cheering his wrongs.
Well, the actor has such a charisma about him too, so it works into that. But it's like he's the most out of his depth. Like Hugh Hammer is a blacksmith, and when you're a blacksmith, you by necessity you're going to deal with the upper class. You're going to deal with knights, like people who can afford armor. So he at least understands the people to a point that he's dealing with. Adam and Alan both, like Alan is commanding ships, and like obviously it's not fun for any of these people to be bastards, and you lose a lot by not being acknowledged and you're treated as lesser. But they're not as lesser as normal peasants, except for Ulf. He really did live like a peasant.
He did, and we even got the Varys like story of him being, you know, groped and molested or even R-worded by this red priest. You know, that was a pretty interesting backstory because it gives the red priest like a little bit of prophetic vision, but he's obviously twisted, and so he uses his like he knows Ulf does have dragon blood, but then he just like that just makes him a more fun, you know, a more enticing victim for this guy. So it's a pretty dark story that. But mostly he's gaining sympathy because he's so damn funny. It's the same reason why Tyrion and Jaime are kind of like fan favorite characters, even though they're both pretty bad people and do a lot of bad things. Although Jaime was a great Kingsguard. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Yeah, I just got amusing from his picking his name. And the white goes hard. That's a good one. I would have dropped Ulf, maybe done the White Dragon or something. I don't know.
I love how majestic. I need to correct the chat. The chat was saying that Hugh's hair looks majestic this season. It's looked majestic every season. Okay.
Maybe he's born with it.
Maybe he is born with it. That's Jaehaerys' grandson, I think, right there, supposedly. So, or would it be great grandson? Yeah, he says Viserys and Daemon are his brothers, right?
Yeah. So he's a.
I thought his mom was Sarah.
Sarah. Oh,
Sarah is Jaehaerys' kid, so he would be a grandson.
He would be Jaehaerys' grandson, and what, like the uncle of Viserys, or would they be cousins? Viserys is Jaehaerys.
He'd be the same thing that Daemon is.
Yes, they're both they have the same grandparent.
So
they'd be cousins.
Yeah.
So I think he's a child of Baelor the Brave, right?
Yes.
Like, just like them.
They're cousins. Yeah, I'm making this very confusing. They're just cousins, basically. Yeah, okay.
I was confused. I was there with you because I had to make sure.
Oh, the Valyrian, you think you make it more complicated than it is, the Valyrian family tree, because it usually is all twisted. But yeah, they would just be cousins. We should think about that when, like, Daemon was sort of disrespecting Hugh last episode. You know, he takes it further with Ulf, and he gives Hugh a little more respect, but at the same time, he was sort of talking down to him and making Hugh say, "Sir, yes, sir." And it's like at one point Hugh might be like, we're cousins, right? They haven't really talked about that, so that's interesting. That is interesting. I think we're going to get more out of Hugh and Ulf this season for sure. You can see they are slowly spending more time with these characters and giving them character building moments. So we're going somewhere.
Hugh's wife.
Right, she did go to Tumbleton now, and to stay with her sister or brother or something. What was it?
Brother, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's a really interesting dynamic here with they're kind of mirroring Ned and Robert. So Robert is famous for wielding a big war hammer, right? So we have Hugh the Hammer, and then Ulf, it literally means wolf.
Wolf.
So
Yeah.
Ulf the white wolf. So we've got
He's
a
very
wolf
Ned
guy
like. He's
and a
very Ned
hammer.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on, and they eventually, well, no spoilers, right? But the point is they're going to war, and this is kind of like another civil war of sorts, and they're on the same side again, of course.
And we don't know who Ulf's parents are, right?
No.
Because he said he made up the story about Balin, so we don't really know,
Balin, right?
and he doesn't know either. Like in the honest moment on the not Isle of Faces, but rather the shoreline of the God's Eye last week, he was talking, or first week, he was talking about. I mean, it sounded like he was telling the true stories. Like I never knew who my parents were, but the Red Priest told me I had dragon blood, and I wasn't sure, but now I'm riding the dragon. So damn, look, he was right. That was his whole thing. So no, he doesn't know who his parents are. We don't know. And his hair is kind of dingy, really. So I mean, it may be.
Dang.
I know. Look, he's called Ulf the White. Called himself Ulf the White. It's like that's some pretty dingy hair. You need some products.
Wolf the Sot.
He needs some
Wolf the
products. Yeah.
And it's funny they switched which one of Robert and Ned is the drunk in this dynamic.
Oh, okay. I see that. Yeah, I see that. I have thought about Ulf the White as potential Jon Snow. Are there any Jon Snow parallels because he's the White Wolf? But let's not get.
Adam.
Some people are like, time to pee in Ulf's hair.
Oh.
Got to bleach it.
Time to.
Like, hey, easy with all that, R. Kelly stuff. Like, it's not like it's done by a jellyfish.
Like Ulf's already a SA victim. We shouldn't really be suggesting things like that. Although who knows? If you get him drunk enough, you might catch him at a tavern doing some crazy stuff. You never know. Love you guys. Where's Tim? Tim will be back. He's also on his channel. He did a live stream yesterday, and he's also in the chat. Why did Daemon not apprehend Tessarion? Maybe Hightowers had Dragon Keepers. We talked about this earlier. You're tuning in. We talked about it at the very beginning, Plural Board. Thank you for the question. But basically, Daemon you wouldn't want to put the kid on the dragon. You'd keep them separate so they're not a threat. So they did have Dragon Keepers there. And when the Dragon Keeper showed up to King's Landing saying, I'm the only one that escaped, basically he's saying the Hightowers turned traitor and the other Dragon Keepers that were taking care of Tessarion are dead. And so now the only one taking care of Tessarion potentially is Daeron, who either has red hair or had his hair dyed red in disguise. We will find out next week. Stay tuned. Shout out to both R. Kelly and more so to Dave Chappelle. I can't sing it. I want to sing it. It's taken everything inside me not to sing it. Yes, it's true. Yes, I do. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, that's it. And so, okay, we got to whiten the hair so it fits the name. That's a solid train of thought. What were we talking about? I was working towards something. Oh yes, let's do some ratings and MVPs. Let's get some polls going here. Drip, drip, drip. Chat, you guys do it up. You go to town, okay? So let's rate the episode and then we'll do MVP and then maybe something more creative. I'll go first with the rating to buy you guys time to think of something. I'm going to call this one an 8.5 because it made me feel some things. Not everything was perfect, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I felt I was engaged with it. I think they're portraying the difficulty of Rhaenyra ruling and all the problems that she's inherited and how difficult it's going to be. Like, we can go through all these different problems, but there's not an obvious solution to most of this. I mean, it's some pretty tough. Like this is right from the books. They took the gold. They left the treasuries empty to set her up for having mad problems. So, I mean, that's realistic. The Corliss thing we talked about, but yeah, I felt some things here, and there was a lot of stuff a lot of great lines. We talked about some of Allison's lines were great. Corliss came in strong, channeling Vaemond. So yeah, I'm gonna call this 8.5. Nettles, what do you give it?
I think I'll do a 4.
Oh.
Just 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Just because my standards are up here. My my standards are
What
way up
did you
here.
rate last week? You like 9.9?
Nine
Place
9.9.
9.8. Oh, did I say 9.9? Okay, yeah. 9.8 for the first one, 9.9 for the second one. We'll do a 4 here. And
Okay.
it's hard because like every scene was necessary, right? Like I wanted so bad to call it a filler episode, but like no, I mean everything did what it was supposed to do, but when you wrap it all together, it was just kind of like a 4. So that's what I'm giving it.
All right.
So
Well, there it is. Sean, what do you got?
I will to a point I'm going to agree with Nettles. Like, it wasn't supposed to be a filler episode. It was supposed to be kind of building up to Tumbleton. And like you said, Dave, they did a good job of showing Heavy Lies the Crown and all of this other stuff. I think they probably devoted a little bit too much time to showing the tedium and challenges of ruling, and not enough time with a lot of really important things that are going on in the realm. Like, it seemed like they almost kind of stopped the rest of Westeros from happening, and only got reminded towards the end of the episode when they say, they've marched up to Tumbleton, that things are happening outside the Red Keep. So that would be my kind of criticism, is that we basically only saw the Red Keep. We stopped the planet turning a bit. And I get how it could feel that way to the characters who are in the Red Keep, and I think they actually did a great job of that. But they're also basically cutting out everybody who's outside the Red Keep.
So can I just, before you give your number, let me just remind you of a couple things. It went by quick, so I understand your criticism, but they mentioned Sunfire. The chat is talking about that. Sunfire's dead. They're looking for Aegon and Aemond and Laurys in different places. We went to Tumbleton twice. We heard about the pirates on landing and taking people ransom. We heard about the concerns of the small folk, which we should understand are echoed outside of the kingdom. And then we talked about, obviously, Corlys and his heir to Driftmark. So there were a few... and Daemon talked about conquering Dorne, Yeti, and the city of winged men. So there was some stuff in there. It was just that the Rhaenyra's experience was so intense and immersive that it definitely dominated the show. But just to point those out.
Yeah.
Sure. And I get why they did it.
Yeah. I would have just bookended them, like added something like very significant, like crazy, like in the first few minutes, and then close with something like they tried to end on a cliffhanger of like, oh no, it's the wrong Daeron, but it's like they should have like found out it was the wrong Daeron and then did something about it and ended on doing something about it instead of like the on next week's soap opera, who is he? Where's the real? You know what I mean? So I think that's what it needed. Like starting with Aemon, it didn't have to be like a battle or something, but open with Aemon and show us what's happening. Show some magic-y stuff, and then end with some action. But it was almost perfect.
We got a lot of High Valyrian conversation and some lore talk, which we still have yet to rip into. But Sean, what would you give it? What's your number?
I'm gonna say a 7.
7. Okay.
And yeah, I agree, but I think a lot of that High Valyrian stuff, like, that takes some analysis. That's not something that you're gonna say in a post game show and really figure out. But I think I agree, Nettles, with what you were saying just now, and I think the reason for it is that what we usually get with not only these episodes but even the seasons is that the huge climactic event does not happen in the last episode. It happens the episode before, and then they kind of unpack it and people start to, respond to it, and you get a little bit more storyline after it. And that's how it's always been in Game of Thrones. It's how it's always been in House of the Dragon. Like Viserys dies in the second to last episode, and then you see the maneuvering, right? Like you see some more plot lines happening. And it feels weird to have the big climactic event happen at the very end and give none of the people time and space to have a human response to it, because that's what we normally get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing some people think Tumbleton could be coming as soon as next week. I think they're going to build it up a little bit more before we get it. But I don't know. I don't look at the names of the episodes or read any of the leaks or anything like that. I thought that would be the logical climax of the season. that would be in the second episode 7, I guess it would be. But we'll see. Maybe something else will be. And then as far as the other battles that were missed, to go back to the question from like 45 minutes ago, we missed honey. We missed honey wine. We saw the end of the fish feed. Red Fork wasn't there. Butcher's Ball is definitely coming. I think we've seen clips of it. And Tumbleton something is coming. So I think we've got at least 2 more big battles coming this season. But I will acknowledge that not a lot happened per se. It was one of those, a bunch of little things going on. But I thought the writing was strong for most part this week.
Yeah.
And there were some good conversations and stuff. So I liked the episode for those reasons. Chat, if you haven't rated it, go ahead and throw your numbers in the chat. I saw a kind of a wide range of stuff between what we're saying mostly. A couple of 9s in there, but mostly in that some mixed reaction.
Somebody's bringing up Torrin Manderley, and that was one of my favorite parts. Just, for spoilers reasons, him being significant later. I really liked it. I liked the tone of the character because that's not something that you get in a history book like Fire and Blood. So we got kind of an interesting look into that character. I love the actor. Nettles already said it. I already said it. But yeah, it's that's a really interesting window that I'm intrigued with.
So I'm just happy we got to see her tax policy, so to say.
Oh, we're getting into it for sure. A tax policy was, my guards are already in your cellars collecting baskets of things while you stare at the rats on your plate. That was her tax policy. So that is an answer. It's one answer that you could give to that.
So I ask you guys, who would you put, like, if you could warg Rhaenyra and no, just kidding.
Stop.
But who would be on your council? Like,
it's hard to say,
like
because
fantasy football, you can grab them from regions and bring them,
Oh, I mean, well, the thing is, we don't know what Rhaenyra's choices are. Like, there haven't been enough characters around her built up for us to know which lord would make a good master of coin and stuff. But Lord knows she needs them. She needs she obviously can't do all this herself, and she's not supposed to. No one does do everything by themselves. It definitely reminded me of Dany in Meereen, listening to all the petitioners and just getting doing her best, but getting tired of it. It's like, girl, you can't do all that by yourself. So she needs some help. Cregan is an obvious name. She should be, we should be worried about her alienating the lords, that she might want to find some of them to work with here with this. Like, we all like the class war and all that, but maybe Torrin Manderley is someone that could help you. So.
Yeah. I would take hostages and put them on the council. Be like, if you grab someone from Hightower and you have them on the council, and a Lannister, or I don't know. But yeah.
Well, different rulers have certainly sought out more or less opposition in their ruling councils. Some leaders have opted for let's get a few people who disagree with me here to challenge me and stuff like that. So that is a brave way to go. I don't know if the hostages, how much freedom they have. Looks like Rhaenyra might make Alicent hand of the king, though. Maybe that could help. Probably still be shadow, but I don't know. I understood in Rhaenyra's position. I understand her asking Alicent how she did it. I was curious what you thought of
her best friend. That's her best friend.
And she's operating with the understanding that Alicent is trying to make decisions that are best for the realm. That's why she gave King's Landing to Rhaenyra, so they wouldn't have more bloodshed and violence. Rhaenyra looks like she's going to win, so let's just give her the throne and be done with this war. So, you can't trust Alicent if you're Rhaenyra, but at the same time, there's no reason for her to think that Alicent is actively coordinating the rebellion against her either. So,
yeah. But it's normal to have the thought. I mean, everything that's happened. So
I thought there was
been
a lot of good
flip-flopping.
I thought the dialogue was pretty good between them.
Mm-hmm. I just wish for more Helena. I'm like, all right, pipe down, you two. Helena,
Yes.
What are you saying? What's that?
She said something. What did she say? She said, "Did it make you happy?" You
cutting off
basically,
auto.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a like awkward
She never
question.
answered.
Yeah, she
She
didn't.
never
Make it feel
Yeah.
better, or they make it, yeah.
I think no, as she was shaking and like traumatized about killing someone with her bare hands. Like, yeah, I don't think it made her feel better, but yeah, I don't know.
Everybody
I
wants
would
alone too, Sean. What do you think of that?
alone.
500
I've seen
golden
that.
dragons to buy some sheep and whatever else people wanted. Man, all kinds of.
Yeah.
I think the first thing you do is just start selling your jewels. Like you can get more jewels later when you're in a better position, but demonstratively, if they see the queen selling their jewels to feed the people, that's a huge, very, like that's how you win the people.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's already something that there's a precedent for in A Song of Ice and Fire. Alizane, sells her jewels to help fund stuff at the wall. So it's a very good demonstrative gesture that really doesn't cost you anything, because really at the end they're going to be stupid rich and you can get whatever jewels you want back. It's like another pair of clothes or another set of clothing that you don't need.
Yeah,
So
good example there with Alisand. That's right. She did sell her jewels to build Deep Lake. They wanted to shut down Night Fort, and so that she paid for a new castle so that they would do that. So yeah, that was. She also, I was thinking that she could have made a coronation ceremony of the people, like a humble one that was intentionally humble to show people where the priorities were, but still have a coronation. But
But the Septon wouldn't do it.
so yeah, I don't understand so the Septon is basically like, show me the body. And the answer is going to be, we're going to show you your body. You're going to be beheaded. I think that's coming.
Yeah. I got big Palpatine energy I wanted to put in there with perhaps your successor will be more violent.
I love it.
That's cool. So who was the MVP of the episode? And this you can interpret this any way you want, but like, who was the most dynamic and interesting character? And we'll give everyone a second to think about this. Whoever has the answer first can pipe up. I got to think about it too.
Oh, I got it.
I want to say, okay.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead, Sean.
Okay. I say Ormond Hightower.
He was very sneaky.
He bought himself time to march all the way up to Tumbleton. Like, they started in Old Town. That is a long trip. They marched a long way, and they said they were going to turn right back around, and instead they bought themselves enough time to get all the way to Tumbleton. And essentially, that's a rallying cry to all of the other lords that might be thinking like, oh, maybe it's time to bring my host home and like, just bend the knee to Rhaenyra. Now you're between the throne and a lot of people who might be ready to peel off. So that strategically, it gave them a huge advantage. And also, he just really pulled one over on Daemon, especially, and also Rhaenyra. And it was well done.
I think that a lot of the chat agrees with you. I'm seeing some other people mention Mysaria.
I'm like, dang, mine is dumb. I was just gonna say Rhaenyra. Do an easy one. Just say Rhaenyra, because like, just reiterating before how I would have made all the decisions that she made, except I would have had a coronation and a council meeting. Even if the council meeting is just rounding up Corlys and Daemon, the Maester, like in a small capacity to pick the council, I would have just done that. But otherwise, I would have done everything that I think she was the MVP. She didn't crumple. But I kind of made up. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just trying to say, I might vote for her just for the rat feast. That was sick.
The rat
like
feast.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, every decision she's made in this episode.
I'm seeing other names mentioned in the chat are Mysaria, consistently with good advice the entire episode. She doesn't fold. Daemon keeps trying to intimidate her. She doesn't fold. And by the way, should be said, Daemon's only move is to intimidate people. He does that in every small council meeting we've ever seen him in. Nobody else's advice is worth considering except for his advice. Like, that's kind of his MO. Mysaria is not backing down, though, and she keeps speaking up and explaining her logic. Will she be listened to by Rhaenyra? I don't know, but she was definitely an MVP candidate. I'll give you that. Corliss spit not as big of a part, but definitely spitting some facts. Again, channeling Vaymond. How about fake Daron? He played his part really well. He's just a teenager. They dyed his hair. They took his mom hostage, and they said, "Don't you say a word, even if they feed you to the dragon." And he didn't crack for a long time. He kept that ruse up until Alicent was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's not who the f is that." So he was pretty strong too. Maynard James Plum. Let's go with Rhaenyra, and obviously Ormond, and Mysaria, and the kid, fake Daron. We can call that Fdaron. It's a lowercase f, capital
Daemon.
D.
So
Fake-
could we give Mysaria the Davos Award for getting promoted at work?
She could get the Davos Being Promoted at Work Award, as well as the Sir Duncan the Tall People's Champion Award. Shout out to Sylvie, also People's Champion, honorable mention.
Oh,
yeah.
She cut off the queen.
She
in
did.
mid-sentence. That was wild.
It was a little bit wild and out of pocket. That is correct. But
And nothing happened.
We'll see, but not at that moment. Yeah.
Can I say my theory? I've just thought of a theory sitting here. It's about Sheep Stealer and Rhaena, because I'm thinking that, like, I think it'd be crazy if, like, in next episode or future episode, when we see the gold coming in from the regions that Rhaenyra has shaken down, what if Sheep Stealer burns all the wagons going in so it never goes to King's Landing? Because we can't let Rhaenyra have the money because she'll do good with it, right? So... And the reason that Sheep Stealer does that is because he's Team Green. See, no one asked the dragons if they're Team Black or Team Green. Y'all can't assume. Sheep Stealer never said, he's like, you can ride me, but I'm going this way. Like,
Look, Show Stealer, the underboy, is allowed to be on whichever team he wants to be. He is perfect and has never done anything wrong in his life.
but he's a green. Like, he's a 10, but he's a green.
I like this idea that Sheep Stealer just flies around and screws up everything. The entire war is actually just Sheep Stealer's fault. Like, every single oopsie, every misunderstanding. Like, yeah, Sheep Stealer flies into the, eats the hostage or something. Yeah, I like this. This is good. Looks like Sean has correctly dubbed Ormond the MVP. He's out to a quick.
Ooh.
If you want to vote for one of these other people, you got to get your vote in. 88 votes right now. Ormond is running away with it. Rhaenyra in second place, and then Mysaria, and then fake Daron. I was just trying to obviously look for an underdog candidate, but if you think, like, that's a pretty heavy job they laid on the kid. His mom is hostage, and hopefully Rhaenyra takes care of that and makes sure that his mom is freed from her captivity. I'm guessing it'll slip by the books, though.
I do like the Mysaria pick, though. I will say, like, her standing up to Daemon, as you've mentioned, like, there's a lot of courage in that. She's also just the supreme competency. Like, how much has Rhaenyra trusted her with? And she has not even shrugged or hesitated. She has not blinked. Like, she is completely cool to do all the things she needs, as much responsibility as she needs, and there's no hesitation. She's just getting it done, and seemingly good motivations, but more importantly, just like, she's basically ruling. She is basically hand to the queen right now.
Yeah, and you can see Rhaenyra doesn't have a lot of people to rely on, so you can tell that this person is going to be further ingratiated simply by being competent. So is this all to pull the rug out from under Rhaenyra? Will she lose faith in Rhaenyra if Rhaenyra ignores the small folk and then turn against her? All these things are possible. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. At first I was thinking earlier this season that I want more from Mysaria. Like, I'm like, well, she's boring compared to book Mysaria. Like, we know what Misery tried to do to Alicent and Helena, which you don't have to mention when they get there. So I was looking for that, like, do some magic, a little potions, a little rah-rah girl. Like, she's like, just like, a she's like a stoner chick. She's just like a regular girl, just like giving great advice, maybe a little bit sexual attraction here and there. But then again, I'm thinking of the lies that we're learning that this book might be, that like they have to demonize women, like she has to be having potions and broomstick and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's how they write her. Oh, she's evil, conniving. She was pulling all these strings, saying all this stuff. But no, she's just a chill girl, like a good, like. So
It makes
I
a
guess I'm
lot of
okay with her being. It's okay with her being boring if it just tells the truth that sometimes women are regular. They don't have to be all this extra stuff.
well, and it makes a lot of sense. Whereas just like this is just a very competent woman who had a lot of power and refused to breed. Okay, it's medieval society. She's a witch.
We found a witch. May
That
we burn
too.
her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the Massaria character a lot in the books. In the show, I like what they've done with Massaria quite a bit. So Ormond is running away. He does have incredible aura. He wasn't on the screen long, but he cuts a fantastic figure there, and he pulled one over. Again, is a little bit of we're hand waving some plot holes. If you're accepting surrender from an army, you're going to take their swords. You're going to disarm them. You're going to take more captives than just one fake kid. Like, we're not worrying about that. But, if you notice that, yeah, you're not wrong. And, okay, so let's go ahead and call this one. And what was... It's not really enough dragon action to say dragon of the week. I just want to say again, I loved seeing Vermithor and Silverwing and Caraxes all in the same shot. It felt like when 3 giant bullies show up at the end of the alley and you're like, oh man, there's not much I can do now, For those of you who hang out in alleys, I'm talking about in a movie, obviously, but yeah, it was like that. Like, oh, you're not, those guys are a lot tougher than you. So
do you think the rats are in the cookbook?
what cookbook?
The Song of Ice and Fire cookbook?
We need an update. They're probably not in there. We're going to need an update. Yeah.
I mean, her only mistake was not making them pies, but that wouldn't have been as demonstrative.
No, it was an object lesson. Like I said, would have been crazy to make her eat them, make them eat the rats, but just serving them and then making the point was like, okay, that's actually a pretty good object lesson because, I mean, she's not wrong. There's a lot of people in the streets that would be like, oh, it's cooked with a little side of parsley. Give it to me. That's better than we do on most days. You know what I mean? So thought that was a nice middle ground. It's like slightly insane, but kind of good politics at the same time. So I thought that was pretty good writing.
I know. Give that to Theon.
What do you mean?
Oh boy. Yeah, well, he's
Theon was
eating his
eating them raw.
finger.
Oh yeah,
Theon's
totally.
eating rats raw, so give him a little razzle dazzle.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Dreadfort is its own thing. You don't want to stay there. The hotel rooms are not all that, I've heard.
But something that I do like is we lose a little bit in translation from the books because George does a really good job of showing that sometimes the nobles are a little bit out of touch. And he doesn't get a lot of point of views of like regular people or peasants, but even when he is showing through the nobles' eyes, he shows that there's a separation of how they view themselves and their lives from the peasants. And that doesn't translate as well to the show because by necessity, you are showing fewer people, you're showing, more top-down plot lines, so you don't get that sense. And one thing that they did well in that scene with the dinner is she asks, wouldn't you be scrabbling around, trying to cook rats if your family was dying? And that one noble says, no, I wouldn't. And it's just like, of course you would. If you were starving, you would eat a rat.
Well then what's your plan, genius? Yeah. She's like, you'd be dead.
The idea is just that, I would never get in that situation. I'm better than these people. And it's just a very tone deaf and out of touch thing to say. But it's exactly how they view themselves. And that was deftly done in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Stannis the Manus did it.
And it also, they set it up with the comedy. Like all of a sudden, Rhaenyra's doing stand-up comedy, chuckling with oh yes, I believe you, even if you were, no, there's no recording of your objection to the rule. Ha 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 ha. And everyone's like, ha 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 ha. and then they serve the rats. And she's like, all right, yeah, this is not a joke. So I thought that was kind of fun. That was
Red Key correspondence dinner.
Oh, and then Sean, tell me you thought of Trump throwing paper towel rolls at people when she was handing out the food. I did. I did think of that.
It was a little bit. I mean, it's a nice gesture no matter what in it, but it is like a little demonstrative when she's personally handing them out. It wasn't quite as tone deaf, obviously, but like, yeah, she's like making a plate in this basket and handing it to somebody. It felt a little weird.
Yeah, well, it's probably we're supposed to think of Marjorie Tyrell. You know, she was seen as bringing the food from High Garden, and she became very popular. I mean, it's pretty easy, really, to be popular in King's Landing. Like, just give people food. Like, that's a good place to start, if they don't have food, especially. So, what about feeding cold McDonald's? Okay, all right.
You're not wrong, but we probably
I don't want to open that Pandora's box. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to Damon and Rhaenyra talking about how to do this. Like I saw somebody post on a good tweet on Twitter this week and saying, you know, the Damon Rhaenyra relationship is one of the most sinister that's ever been depicted on television. And without necessarily agreeing all the way with that, like, I see the point there. Like, he is always whispering in her ear, even though he's now reformed, he's still like, you're going to have to kill him, Rhaenyra. Like, you just gave your word to Ormond that Daeron would be treated well. And now he's like, well, Rhaenyra, we both know you're going to have to kill him. You know, like, and then this whole thing about we could be gods and we can take anything we want to, an empire unassailable. Like, this is Euron level psychopathy just about. And so, like, this is the person that's been sort of guiding her whole life and is winning the throne for her in a lot of ways. And it is malevolent and insidious. Yeah. Your thoughts, Nettles? I'll go to you first. I mean, do you think that you can you see the angle there? I mean, I think that is something that they're trying to depict.
I wouldn't say that he's as bad as Euron. I mean, this is like Tywin or Robert Baratheon level. He's saying you have to get rid of all the claimants. Like,
no, he said we're gods. He said we're gods.
That part, I'm like, okay. I mean, I would feel like that too if they didn't have airplanes and I had a dragon. Like that, I'm the closest thing.
Yeah,
people have to flying. So I'm just like, sorry if I think I'm special. Sorry.
Well, no, I think that's part of the point. I think that's part of the point of depicting.
I skipped a grade and I was in gifted classes. I thought I was special. Now, imagine giving me a dragon, like already thinking that if I could run with that little bit, no, like sorry, I don't think it's crazy to call yourself a god when you're flying a dragon. Sorry.
It's not good. Can we agree that it's not a good thing for everyone else?
I mean, I just need evidence. I need to see what it looks like with him.
You're asking her to go against her boy here.
I'm not asking her to go against her boy.
I don't demonize people before I've seen like what their actions actually do.
Well, he's saying screw the small folk. First of all, he's like, who cares about them? That's just the noise they always make. If I'm starving, blah, 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 blah. That's his advice there. He also thinks we should kill the hostage that we said we were going to treat honorably, who, by the way, is family. So that's some of what it means. It also means that he wants to go start new wars in Essos and ET if they feel like it.
Actions speak louder than words. Sure, he said F the small folk, but then his actions are he founded the Gold Cloaks. Like, he was slumming it and he respected those people.
The Gold Cloaks are cops. They beat up the small folk.
No, but I'm saying, like, he, like Tyrion, can drink with blacksmiths and, like, common folk and, like, get their loyalty.
I mean, we saw him.
Elitist if he's, like, founding the Gold Cloaks.
There's nothing more elitist than saying I'm a god. You and I are gods above all the other people. Like, there isn't a more distilled way to say I'm an elitist than that. I'm not letting you off the hook on this.
I meant versus F the small folk. Like, I'm just saying he's not like, yeah.
That's literally what he said, though. That is what he said.
Yeah. sure, he said that, but actions speak louder than words is what I'm saying. Like his actions show that he is kind of very open to different people from different walks of life.
But that wasn't. He's giving Rhaenyra his official advice on how to handle. That is an action. He's saying they're in the small council meeting debating on what to do about the kingdom, and he's like, forget that issue. Who cares about them? So he is proposing an action there, which is F the small folk. And that's flows from him considering that he's a god and that they, with their dragons, can take whatever they want, which is
Okay, you got me there. It's definitely actionable.
so. All I'm saying is that I'm agreeing with you in that this is exactly how you might feel if you were one of the 6 people alive with a dragon. And this is something that George is meaning to write about intentionally. And I think the show is right to pick up on this and show us that some dragon lords would certainly feel like they could take whatever they want. And then we have these other ones like Jaehaerys and like Rhaenyra on her good days when they're trying to be like, well, how can I use the dragons to rule justly? And we see this whole debate with Daenerys when she's listening to Dario or Barristan or these various people. So that's all I was trying to highlight is that that tension, and that, say, that Daemon's response to this power, letting it go to his head, is a very important thing to recognize and talk about because it's what some people would do. To your point, it is a realistic reaction. Mm-hmm. You could still be Daemon fanboy. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
He is. Well, I guess what I'll say is that he in Fire and Blood, he is my favorite character by far, and in the show, he's up there with like Helena and Sir Simon Strong and the people that I have on the highest tier that I like the most and find the most interesting. So I love the character. What I will say is that there is no way you cannot paint the relationship with him and Rhaenyra as sinister. It has to be because he's her uncle. And they've normalized a lot of incest on this show and it being okay. Like marrying your sister, like, lest we forget, Aegon is married to Helena. Like, this is a very normal thing for Targaryens and maybe for Valyrians as a whole. But, like, he's a generation above. That is her father's brother. He's supposed to be, a generation above. He's supposed to be the generation taking care of her and raising her. And he has chosen instead to have a weird will they, won't they in season 1. And then
he groomed her sexually. I'm bursting to say this. Like, he groomed her sexually from the time that she was a teenager in both books and show to some extent. So yeah, it's sinister. Go ahead.
And some of it may be that they just don't have the stigma against incest. And so some of it may be somewhat innocent in that, like, he actually, respects her, etc. Because to an extent, I think he does. But there is also an element of it where he is doing this for personal gain and power, at least in the past. His relationship with Rhaenyra was at least partially built on he's hugging up to power because he has always wanted to be on the throne. And that it may be a different and more complicated and frankly more interesting dynamic now, but that does not change the fact that there is a lot of weird, ugly stuff wrapped up in it since its inception.
Yeah, I think we've seen that since season 1 too. Like, he cares about the direction of his house, which is not entirely selfish. It's just that his vision of the house is like Valyria 2.0.
Yeah, I can't say that it's sinister just yet. Like, they'd have to show me some stuff because the quote is like the most sinister relationship seen on television, or I've seen worse stuff, like worse than Old Boy. Like, I've seen some bad depictions of relationships.
It might have been like one of the best depictions of a sinister relationship. I'm not sure. I just wanted to introduce the conversation about the nature of it. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. And taking her to a brothel is something that he did when she was like 14 or 16 or whatever, where he then tried to make out with her and stuff. So, I mean, but that's something he did. We've seen that,
That was viscerally uncomfortable in the way that not quite as bad, but very close to as viscerally uncomfortable as it was watching Aemond and Alicent last week.
Yes, it was very uncomfortable because, to your point, he's supposed to protect her, and his idea of protecting was grooming her sexually to be his wife, which is very Valerian of him, but we're not supposed to just look at that and be like, it's okay. This quirky Valerians,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and on one level, and not not to defend this kind of stuff, but symbolically, they are meant to be representing gods. The fact that they have been given this dragon power, it's a form of fire of the gods, and they are meant to be representing gods. And when you have a godly pantheon, they are marrying their sisters, and they are marrying, people who are directly related to them. And there's some weird, like Hades is, and there is a lot of this in the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon, Hades and Persephone, where the uncle marries his niece, and there's kind of an underworld dynamic with them that definitely plays through in a lot of scenes, but it is reminiscent of that godly pantheon. That is intentional.
I think you're correct. And to go back to Nettles' point about Daemon earning the respect of the gold cloaks and people in the streets and things like that, he has a certain code to where other people can earn respect to him. He mostly respects strength, it seems like. He did seem to be a little bit sad when he heard that Simon was dead, and he was obviously grief-stricken when he heard about Jace's death. So I'm not saying he's an inhuman monster, and I don't think anyone is either, but we should recognize him as cut from the Valyrian cloth. He is a dragon supremacist. He thinks they are godlike and above other men, however you want to say that. And no, obviously he hasn't gone full Euron. I'm just saying shades of that, like in that speech, like that you're hearing echoes of Euron telling his brother Danfair, I am your god, I am your king, worship me and I'll raise you up to be my priest. Like we're getting into that territory here.
Well, and he's talking about like magic, like using magic as a form of apotheosis, meaning like turning yourself into a god. Whereas Daemon already thinks he's a god. Like he doesn't think he has to amass any more power. And he may not be speaking entirely literally. But one thing I want to draw attention to is that everything we criticize Daemon for, Aemond is doing a little bit more intensely. So like we have Daemon, and he has a weird dream about, sexual stuff with his mother. Aemond goes and makes out with his real life mother. We have like a weird relationship. Like there's so much going on with Aemon. Daemon threatens Sir Simon Strong, and then comes to a more reasonable solution with all those people. Aemon kills him immediately. Like there's an order of magnitude there where they are very purposefully mirroring each other, except one of them has gone over the edge.
He's speed running Targaryen degeneracy, the chat is saying.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Aemon needs to now start being mentioned with the Mad Targaryens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
I've never heard him mentioned before the show.
In the books,
like listed.
I think I have, because he commits a small scale genocide of House Strong at Harrenhal. They kind of mentioned it like, he killed Lord Strong and all the people at the castle. But like he kills everyone with strong blood in their veins except for Alice Rivers. And it is spelled out. They made a pile of heads and all this stuff, like monstrously cruel, deranged, lunatic stuff, not politically strategic. It was like, I will kill them all, make me a pile of their heads stuff. So we will see if they bring a little more of that into his character a different way, because they did sort of gloss over that today, didn't they?
Well, something that he burns the Riverlands repeatedly for no gain after the war is supposedly over. And he's doing it just to show like, hey, there's still a green around. Like he doesn't think at any point, like, I'm going to win the throne from them over their multiple dragons. I have no army. I'm literally just on Dragonback, hurting people, killing people, causing misery, destroying large swaths of land and castles and farms and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, he absolutely should be counted among the Mad Targaryens. The only reason I think he isn't is because he never actually got to be king.
Yeah.
But he's just as bad as Maegor and all these other people. Absolutely.
That's why I didn't freak out too much when they changed it. Instead of him and Aegon teaming up at Storm's End, it was Aemond making his own plan and then turning on his brother when his brother sort of bumbled into it. I didn't object. I was like, yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, it's the same type of dude. This is the original Nana Vagar meme. This is the one that inspired me and got the whole Nana Vagar thing started. Visenya, have we conquered Dorne already? Let's go burn more castles in the Riverlands. So this is, to your point, Sean. He burns a lot of castles in the Riverlands.
And it's not hard to sell Vagar on that, and wanted to do Harrenhal the whole time with Visenya.
Look, since Balerion has been gone, it's been like 80 years. She does not give a F anymore. No, it's been more than 80 years. How long has it been? No, less than that. Less than that.
Oh, no, it's
like 50. Like 50.
It was like 80 years when
88
Viserys was
AC.
alive and they were kids. So it's like 100 years now.
No. Balerion dies when Viserys is young. So it's been about 40 some years since Balerion died. But still, she's been cranky since then. So she is more than happy to burn some castles.
I guess I misunderstood what you were saying. You're right. Yeah.
As long as we know that Vagar likes to burn castles, we're all on the same page.
And really just had that FOMO, of not being able to do it in the first place. And like all the castles she did burn were in Dorne and they were evacuated. That's not any fun.
So the Daron switcheroo, I think we've covered most of it. I had to chuckle because there's been so much consternation about where is Daron? Have they cast him? This and that. Now we know why they were a little cagey, is because they were planning on doing this. But for those of you who predicted this, I was just happy for y'all. It's like, oh, you got that one right. He was fake. He was fake. You got it.
My name is Faemon.
For Daron. Someone said Dare Wrong instead of Daron.
Dare Wrong, Faeron. But I go Faemon because I think it's Game and Pale Hair.
Duly noted that you have made that prediction. We will see. Do each of you have a favorite show character as of this episode, or favorite actor's portrayal of a character? I continue to think that... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I'm thinking.
I was going to say Emma Darcy, there's a lot of good acting on the show, but anytime they give Emma Darcy something to work with, they absolutely just elevate the show to this Shakespearean level. And sometimes they are met by other actors in the scene, but it's almost like you have to be careful the instructions you give Emma as far as how to portray, because whatever you tell Emma to portray, they're going to do it like all the way. So I love watching the character. And I'm torn about the Alicent Rhaenyra thing too, because a lot of it is contrived, but when you get the two actors in the same room, good things do happen. And so I understand the urge to do that. And you guys know I'm a Hugh the Hammer stan, obviously, but that's mostly for funsies. Go ahead, Sean.
The Hammer and Sickle is people's champion.
That's right. That's him.
But
Comrade Hugh.
But yeah, I'll say a few, just because I don't want to just echo everything you said. But yeah, I will say that even when you're not satisfied with the writing or the mechanism that gets a scene, the actors are always fantastic. I agree with Emma Darcy. I agree with Olivia Cooke. I will also throw in, and you say this a lot, Tom Glencarney, always excellent in every scene he does. He's so believable as a trash human being. Anyway, and a little bit not stupid. I'll add in Matt Smith. Like, we almost forget it just because he's so front and center to kind of acknowledge, like, especially if you've seen him in anything else, this is so different from what he normally does. Like in Doctor Who, going to this, it's wild to see this. But and I would say, like, actors like the guy who did Laris Strong. I don't know the actor's name.
Matthew Needham, I believe it is, and he's very good. Yes.
Good. Those scenes with the two of them are so good. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than Corlys. I love Corlys. I like that they're kind of finally showing him as a badass, because in the books, he's even past Fire and Blood. He's in the history books, not just the dance. Like, this is the world's greatest explorer ever. This is like a very powerful naval captain. He's taking on the Triarchy by himself for years. And He's just like this unstoppable force. And they really just portrayed him as a lackluster political figure for a good part of the beginning of the show. And now they're letting him cook, and the actor is really good, so it works really well.
Yeah,
And
Steve's great. Yeah.
I'm loving seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked about it. I went to one Game of Thrones con since House of the Dragon has started, and I got to meet a couple of them. Steve was awesome. He's like 6'4". He commands the room. Huge smile. So yeah, he's definitely bringing that gravitas to Corliss. Of course, everyone knows I met Tom Glencarney. We're gonna see it again, though. A couple of guys with a keen fashion sense here. You can see. He complimented my jacket. He liked it. So, and I was like, bro, your sweater thing is dope. So, anyways, good man. He's doing a great job. He's definitely a character that he's kind of a placeholder in the books. He's just the young guy they put on the throne. We don't know a whole lot about him except for he's kind of debaucherous and doesn't really want the job. He doesn't want it, you know. So Tom's brought a lot. That was it's been pretty dope.
Yeah, I would say for me, Helena, just because the question said show, and it made me think of like that's someone I feel like I'm meeting for the first time, because in the books, there's no mention of her being coded as something or other, and there's no mention of her going into people's dreams. So like every time I see her on the show, I'm like, they could do anything they want with her, because it seems like they've kind of created her out of thin air.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. This is another character that was kind of a placeholder. We know that they're a little bit reclusive, not a Visenya type of character. Like, we know that, but we don't know hardly anything about Helena. So I do love the extra Dragon Dreamer angle. Bring more magic in, like it sort of helps tie in some of the visions that Daemon is having with Rhaenyra's prophecy knife and Harrenhal. Helena helps tie that together. So I don't really have too many complaints about that. They did make a little lore change. They said Viserys renounced his dragon. Like, I've ragged on Viserys because he rode Balerion once. Then, like when Balerion was way too old. 30 years before that, the Dragon Keepers were telling Alyssa Targaryen, wife of Balon, the Brave, and mother of Viserys, that she shouldn't claim Balerion because he's too old. And then 30 years later, Viserys claims him, flies him once, Balerion dies a year later, and Viserys never claims another dragon. That's weak. Like, claiming Balerion when he's old is kind of weak, but not claiming another dragon after is extra weak. So he didn't renounce his dragon, but you can see that's not far off from what he renounced, the idea of being a dragon lord. He didn't pursue it further. So, there's a slight change to the book lore, but it's in keeping with in character with Viserys. But I know some people are going to be like, that's not what happened. And true, it's not what happened. But they've portrayed the show Viserys as being very apprehensive of the dragons, and rightfully so. I think that, just like Daemon's reaction is something that some people would, react to it. Other people would be like, this is nuts. We're supposed to climb on the back of these things? Like, I don't really want that. Like, that's the reaction that some people would have too. So, yeah. He should have claimed Vermithor when he was crowned. Yes, that would have been the move. Vermithor was unclaimed at that time. That is correct. He should have. That would have been the king's dragon.
And we've talked a lot about how it's like, presumptuous of them to claim dragons and then consider themselves gods and above other people. But at a certain point, if you are trying to rule the realm well, and you are trying to essentially get the nobles to listen to you, even if you're just advocating for the people, like, as a sign of legitimacy and a way to use soft power in the way that Jaehaerys did, you really should claim a dragon just for that. You don't have to claim a dragon just to be like, okay, now I can burn stuff down.
Well, that's why the Targaryens went on the royal progresses. To your point, Sean, they everybody come see the dragon and be reminded that we can burn your castle down anytime we want. And also look at the dragon. It's cute, yeah.
Right. And then when you do that, now you don't have to burn them down. Now they get the picture.
That's right. And that's what Aenys didn't do. He did not, he repeatedly chose not to show any sort of strength. And that just, bred treasons like weeds. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but Emma didn't like dragons. Um, she would always say like, "Oh, you stink of dragon, go wash up." So like, you could tell that some Targaryens don't like dragons.
Right,
It's
because
not
she's
just
half Targ. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just what's the one that became a maester? Vaemon. Like it's not just Vaemon who didn't like them. Maybe there were others because we certainly know in the books when you go look through it, so many of them did not claim dragons. Like actually more.
Yeah.
Um,
There aren't enough dragons to go around.
I don't think so.
Early
I
on,
mean,
most of them had dragons up until the dance. I think most of them
Well,
did.
Jaehaerys had 13 kids, only 4 of them rode dragons.
right.
Most of them died as children, though, and a lot of the Targs don't claim dragons until like 7 to 12 range. We don't know
Yeah.
if they had eggs or not, or if they had hatchlings or not. Like some of that detail is light.
That was Rhaena who started that tradition, right?
Yes.
Rhaena, the queen who never was.
With Jaehaerys and Alice. No,
Right.
Rhaena Targaryen,
No, that's-
original rider of Dreamfire, older sister of Jaehaerys and Alysanne. She put
Yeah,
the
she
eggs
never had
in
that
their
title.
cradles.
She never had that title, but she was the eldest child who,
She
under
called herself
Valyrian
Queen.
law.
She was called Queen of the East for her stay at Fair Isle, and also Queen of the West because she was on Dragonstone a bunch. So she was definitely like a queen that wasn't a queen. To your point, yeah.
Yeah, I put her in that same category for that reason, and yeah, I botched it, but like I do think that she was the one who started that
Yes.
that tradition, and so it would have been done with her younger brother and sister Jaehaerys and Alysanne, right?
When she was 11, she put
Nick-
the egg in Jaehaerys' cradle, and when she was 13, she put Silverwing's egg in Alysanne's cradle, and it is credited to her. And I've always assumed that she was probably a dragon dreamer. She named her dragon Dreamfire, and then did this brilliant thing at the age of 11. It's like, where'd you get that idea? Either from the fact that you have dragon dreams and understand the dreams come from the dragons, and so that gave you the idea to put the eggs in the cradles, or more likely, she literally had a dragon dream that gave her the clue to do it, and then she went and did it, and lo and behold, that invariably leads to a successful dragon bond. So,
Great point in analysis.
what about Sunfire? Do we think Sunfire's not really dead, right? Just sleeping and rotting, not dead and rotting.
I'm wondering about that.
I know.
Without giving
This time
away
is-
spoilers, how
Yeah.
could that be?
So we will say this: Sunfire in Fire and Blood is not dead yet, and does other things. We can just say that. So if they kill Sunfire, they are making a change. Not kill, but if they say that Sunfire's dead, but could just be like, comatose or something. I'm starting to have a little doubt too. But didn't we see Aegon in a little like next week video where Aegon seems to be touching a dragon with golden scales?
I
don't
didn't
know.
see that.
I think we have.
I had to get the wig on. I didn't have time to watch next week episode.
But also, didn't they say that Bela was the scout who saw this? So it seems like trustworthy news.
I
trust
think-
Bale.
I can see how you'd make an honest mistake though. If the dragon is in the same spot and hasn't moved and looks all messed
Okay.
up and it was sleeping or just in a subdued state, then maybe you'd make that assumption, but
Maybe.
yeah.
It is kind of the scenario that it was in where the dragon was like mostly dead and then they sent people up to finish it off and it just went nuts and started killing people.
Yes, they tried to slay the dragon, Lord Mooten did, and Sunfire killed like 60 men before they got the idea that this was a bad idea.
Yeah. Still got fire,
And then
you can
Sunfire
still
has
take
a-
these spots.
Yeah, so I'm working on a big video about, it's called going to be Dragon Encyclopedia. It's over 2 hours long. It's almost done. And it's going to have every known fact about every dragon in a produced video. And
Nice.
I'm going to talk about all this stuff. So yeah, Sunfire does a lot of things. Very interesting dragon to talk about for sure. So I'm hoping we do see Sunfire again, but maybe we
We'll
won't.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also George is obviously a big fan of a bunch of different other fantasy authors who have written dragons, and he puts fun little parallels to his dragons, because they're all taking something away from different dragons in other stories. And Sunfire has a little bit of basis in Glaurung the Golden from the Silmarillion. And so I always love seeing those kinds of little shout outs where he puts just a little bit of reference. It's not really like character defining or anything like that.
Is that the one that Turin Blacksword slays? It's not, is it?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, it is Glaurung.
Yeah, the father of dragons, essentially.
Glaurung does a very wicked deception on Turin to fool him into slaying somebody he loves, or what does he do? We don't have to. We shouldn't go into it. Yeah, it's twisted.
It's very Targaryen. There's some incest in there and dragon murder, and he's a very naughty dragon.
Glaurung. I didn't think about Glaurung. I forgot that Glaurung was gold. That's cool. We'll have to do a Dragons of the Silmarillion sometime.
Well, and that's the father of all dragons. The largest dragon is Ancalagon the Black. So it's,
that's the one I always name drop. Yeah, for Balerion. Yeah, I know about Ancalagon. I put out okay. So I made an Ancalagon joke in the video no one has seen yet. That's why. Okay. I'm recording things ahead of time. It gets confusing. All right. So what have we not hit? What have we not hit from this episode? I feel like we didn't talk about, we did talk about Rhaenyra talking to the Faith. We did talk about that. Yes.
The tea. What was that tea that they put in front of her? And then they made a very conscious effort to look at the tea and to look at her and her reaction to the tea and then back at the tea. What was that?
Moon tea?
I think
that's what I was wondering.
No, it wouldn't be moon tea, but I think
they could need that.
It'd be more like implying that like she doesn't trust that she's not being poisoned, because later she said, interrogate all the servants and make sure, see who's loyal to the High Towers and stuff. I think that's what they're trying to say. Like she didn't trust it. It's just an herbal. People are saying, an herbal remedy for the cramps. I must have missed something.
Yeah, well, that's what the guy said. He said, or the person who gave it to her said, for the cramps. But she didn't seem too eager to drink it, like you're saying, and that is, one of the things is like she would be suspicious, and at what point does that suspicion become paranoia, as we are slowly building things up for her paranoia and madness arc, because we are going to get that. We're seeing it's
clearly,
we see her seeing the ghost of her son as she walks down the hall, and then in a scene that looks exactly the same, she sees Bela, and it's almost like Bela's a ghost in the way that they say it. Even Bela's on the same side walking by, and it's the same hallway, and she's, walking with one person beside her talking to her, and and they completely ignore each other, obviously. But yeah, it's kind of like, I'm not sure what they were trying to say with that scene, but the parallelism was strong there.
Just Grey Waste Tim was reminding us, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. That's true. Ares was both. He had, people do plot against you when you're crazy. That is a thing. So I do like how they're playing with this. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just comparing Rhaenyra and paranoia with Aegon, like he became paranoid after Blood and Cheese happened, because he's like, my kid right under my nose. And we saw like, he definitely dealt with it different. Like we got to give Rhaenyra her props, because, that bar is low, but to have him with the sword, be like, they're laughing at me. Like, you remember how he was cutting up his dad's. Yeah.
And he, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, Aegon was basically being puppeted by Otto and Alicent. And then his big move was just to replace Otto with Kristen Cole, which shows how little he understands about what it takes to rule a kingdom and who's a good choice for that. But it was occurring to me that all the pressure that Rhaenyra is feeling in this episode, and they're showing us, like, man, it's really hard if you try to actually rule the kingdom yourself. You can see how rulers like Robert Baratheon slide into just letting Littlefinger handle it. Like, I've got these guys, they're busy, they're handling it, I don't have to worry about this. Like, you have to delegate somewhat, but you also have to keep your finger on the pulse. And you can see how delicate a balance it is. And we've seen rulers go to both sides of that. That's all I was trying to say, yeah. So, that was a dumb move to remove Otto. Yep. Linda gave her the tea, so I guess maybe it's not a trust issue. Maybe she's just like, I don't need it anymore. Someone else in the chat was saying that Rhaenyra, there are cuts on her hand already. I didn't see that, but there's a lot of glare on my TV at 6 o'clock when the episode plays, so sometimes I miss those things. Did anyone see any cuts on Rhaenyra's hand? She's already had some blood on the back of her knuckles. That we saw, because she's like wringing her hands out in the first or second episode, and there was a little blood on her hand. So
maybe that's what they're referring to, or no? Oh.
I'm wondering. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Someone in the chat did say they saw 3 cuts.
Okay, so there is something. It's from when she got locked in the room by Jace in the Kingsguard. She hit the door.
Okay, is that where that came from?
So she like splinters or whatever, and also obviously impact, but yeah, just.
Well, you know how it is. Like Gray Area will have the episode explained video out in the next day or two, right? And she'll catch all these details. And there's a bunch of other people that do it. I usually watch Gray's video, and Estella has been making really good breakdown videos too that I've been watching. But yeah, people will be on it. We can't do all that here tonight, obviously, in the post game, but someone will figure that out if she has been cut yet or not. I would think they'd draw more attention to it if she were being cut by the Iron Throne. Like, we should hear the music play, da-da-da, and she's look at her finger, and we're going to be like, oh, God, she's going to rot like Viserys. Don't do that to Emma Darcy. That thing is full of tetanus. As well, it's not a curse, it's just tetanus.
It's just tetanus.
It's tetanus / leprosy. It's it's fantasy disease that George invented. The music was a lot. Yeah. It was incredible. It was almost overpowering the scene in a couple of places. Not that we're the music was incredible, but it's almost like I wanted to turn the episode and just listen to Ramin cook with the string, compositions or whatever. But, he's just rising. He's like, oh, you want dramatic music? Here you go.
I'll look for that on the rewatch.
It was singing.
Oh, sorry. So here's kind of a thought is Maester Orwyle, somebody was mentioning Maester Orwyle in the chat, and he's kind of survived multiple administrations here, which is not easy to do. And we have a fun nickname for the Maesters by several different people, the Grey Rats, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the castle is currently being infested by rats.
Yeah.
So do we think any part of that is like Hand of the Maesters is like,
Yes. I think that's
responsible for this situation. Yeah.
It's at least possible. I think they were attempting to tie the rats to the Maesters in season 1. They're all feeding on Viserys, like touching his little cuts and like picking at him and nibbling at him and stuff. Like, yeah, I think that was intentional. Barbary Dustin is a writer on the show, is what we're saying.
Good. I can't wait to see what happens with Lady Dustin.
Yeah.
One of the most
Laurie's. Where are all those Laurie's Greedseer truthers? We haven't seen any clues about that because that was never a thing. But
no, because it's his half sister or half aunt or whatever the hell Alice Rivers is, who is the real Greenseer.
We're gonna get
wet nurse.
Yeah, totally. I was gonna say maybe we'll get like a zoom in on the rat's eye, and we'll zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and then it like turns into Laris's eye.
No,
and I'll be wrong. I don't think so. I don't think it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they go a different way with it, and the rats are like in defeat or something.
We're like.
Did you get all the super chats?
Let's check. I was trying to put together Sean's if there was a foot rat joke happening.
Yeah, if the rats are eating a foot, then obviously they're in defeat, just like Laris.
Okay, I knew there was a horrible joke in there somewhere. I didn't want to gloss over it, Sean. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It wasn't a good one, though.
Just finished the episode. Wow, that was stressful. Yeah, it was. It was anxiety-inducing, and that's why I rated it highly. The worst thing is that you don't make me feel anything. That's the worst thing. Or you do something that's so screwy that my immersion is broken. But yeah, I felt things here. So
yeah,
and I will say that like there are things. This happened a lot more in Game of Thrones, but it did happen somewhat last week where like all of a sudden a dude just walks into a camp. He didn't get seen by any scouts. 10 miles away, which is what would normally happen. He
Yeah.
wasn't brought into camp with an escort. He's allowed to just walk up to the Lord who is running that, military group. And stuff like that, stuff like, teleporting across, like transportation isn't a consideration in the show. Like that kind of hand wavy stuff, it does mess with your immersion when you see it sometimes. And there wasn't anything like that this show. So like any criticisms I had, I never felt like I was watching a show. I was watching what was happening.
Yeah, you have to go back after the fact and think, oh, well, why didn't they take more hostages, or why didn't they make them lay down their swords? But it worked as an episode, I thought. Go ahead, Nettles.
No, same. Just nodding and agreeing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting ready to uncork something. All right. Well, let's see. What else do we have this episode? Alan looks a little uncomfortable with his promotion.
Ooh.
He's like, oh, heir to house. That was the first I'm hearing of that. Like when he heard his dad say that, huh?
Well, he was told at the end of last week, right? Like by Corliss, though.
He said, I can give you my name. That's all I have to give you. But he didn't say heir to Driftmark. I mean, I guess it follows because he's the older one. But it's still, you saw Alan do a double take when he said that, right?
Well, and he would have to legitimize him to give him his name. But yeah, I think it's kind of that's an intense moment. Like you are at dinner with the Queen, probably a place he never thought he'd be, and his father, this very important lord who he's not been allowed to be super close to his whole life, is saying like, hey, can you make him my heir? Like there's no way that's not a huge emotional moment and overwhelming no matter what.
I mean, it could be huge and emotional, but you can't say you haven't thought about it. Lenore and Lena have been dead for like what, 10 years? So, not that long. But still, it's been a long time where you would fantasize about, well, I'm the only one he has left. So, yeah. Maybe a little like apprehension or maybe like shame about it, but I think ultimately you'd be happy about something like that.
I think it's the thing that really makes it an obviously bad choice by Rhaenyra is the fact that Alan is a dragon rider. Like you need him. Not only do you need Lord Corliss, you need Alan and his Adam and his dragon.
Adam is the dragon rider.
Yes, Adam is the dragon rider, and so it's like she just has they have all the leverage. She's not in a position to refuse them. There will no doubt be consequences from that scene in weeks to come. So we'll have to see about that.
I did like in last episode, they had Corliss's ship get rammed from the side and completely taken apart. And that's where Alan gets his nickname later when he becomes Alan Oakenfist, is that he rammed a ship with the, oak front of his. Yeah. So it was like, that's why he, so that nice little, you can kind of see like that's the inspiration for him pulling that move, is that it worked really well against him. So you can see him doing it in the future, and that's where he gets his name.
Adam was disappointed when she's like, Adam of Hull, and she's already turning away as she's saying it and moving on. And he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him. He's a good kid.
He and Alan both have a lot of Jon Snow in them.
But this is a whole bigger, yes. Yeah, you're right. This is a whole problem for Rhaenyra, is that she's given these people dragons, whether it's Adam or Hugh or Ulf, or even Rhaena and Sheepstealer. It's like, well, how do you keep them loyal to you? Because they have a lot of power now. And so it's up, like you should be placating them and keeping them loyal. Do you take them into your council, to your war meetings? Like I might be doing that. Instead of just treating them like soldiers who happen to ride dragons. It's like, no, you have a dragon. Like should be in the meetings now. So this is going to be, it's just going to be a thing throughout the rest of the story. Is like, how are Rhaenyra and Daemon managing these new dragon riders who aren't bound by blood? Because this is the thing. If everyone only the people that have dragons are members of House Targaryen, then you assume we're all on the same page. To some extent, you know what I mean? We're House Targaryen. We're the ones with dragons. But once you have this civil war opening up, it's a whole different thing.
So Adam rides Sea Smoke, which is Laenor. Do you think part of like Rhaenyra's reason might be knowing that Laenor's still alive. Like she doesn't want to give his birthright to this random, or maybe even just thinking like, oh, you're riding my late husband. I'll just say the word late, like late husband's dragon. So out of loyalty to him, I'm not going to give you the name. Do you think any of that, Mike?
I don't think that was Rhaenyra's reason, but I think
Yeah.
you're right to point out that we have forgotten about the fact that Rhaenyra knows that Laenor is alive and can't say anything, or feels like she can't say. Like she totally could be like, actually, your son's alive out there. But no, I think they've just moved on. They wanted to not kill him. They wanted to give us a nicer outcome for that, and now they've moved on and they're not going to bring him up again. But I didn't even think about that when Corlys said that to Rhaenyra. Like she's still sitting on that secret.
Why hasn't she told? Like, the man has nothing. Like,
Yeah.
he's a broke buster that they talked in No Scrubs.
I kind of liked the
what
change when they did it, but I think you're right. It's now creating a problem a little bit. Yeah.
No, what do we
I
say?
never
Watch
liked
out
it.
for the butterflies.
Yeah, the butterflies. But
Somebody
I always
said that.
said
I don't know who said that. Someone did. Someone said it.
I always said that was the craziest change because it's like dragons can't have two riders as long as their first rider is alive. You cannot claim them. So it's like, are we just assuming that he passed in Essos off screen, and that's how Adam was able to claim him? There's just I've always had questions about that. I was like, but no, I was thinking about that. I'm like, Laenor's riding a borrowed dragon, borrowed heritage.
Some people do think
Yeah.
they implied that he's dead because once
Yeah.
the sea smoke went looking for Adam kind of all of a sudden one day. So, but they didn't really say that clearly. So there's a little bit of ambiguity there. But
You're turning it into we don't want no scrubs. I mean, and you're saying he's borrowing the ride. He is sitting out the side of his best friend's ride. That's not his.
Right. It's like, I'm taking my big brother's room when I move in here, and I'm gonna take his dragon.
Golden Lady is saying maybe that's why they made the change to say Viserys renounced his dragon. But I don't think so because they didn't give the longer explanation for that. Like they didn't say, oh, he renounced Balerion. Like I think it was really something they wrote to say that because Daemon is discrediting Viserys and his advice to Rhaenyra and saying Viserys didn't know what's up with the dragons. He wasn't a real dragon lord, you know. But maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't think they're trying to go back and clean up plot holes from a season ago at this point. I just don't think they are.
Well, and they talked about it when they had that little walk through the gardens with Viserys and Lena as if they could be a match, and she's like 8 years old, like little. You have any games on your phone, Your Grace? And it's like,
Sean.
and she asked about Balerion, and he's like, yeah, Balerion died, and he was very, he didn't want to get another dragon after that. So like we don't even have a plot hole to clean up. It's just kind of a misrepresentation by Daemon.
Yeah, I will. Again, and Summer, I agree with you. It's technically a change, but it's not really that different. Like again, Viserys claimed an old Balerion and then never claimed a new dragon, so he obviously was not gung ho about riding his dragon. We hear a lot of other Targaryens, they love to fly. It was their favorite thing to do. Like Viserys is not that guy. He liked feasts. He liked getting along. He likes everyone to be happy. He's not a dragon warrior. So I didn't feel like it was that much of a change. Technically, it doesn't really make sense. And they could have just said Viserys never claimed a dragon after Balerion. But that's more confusing as a sentence, and it was just an aside in the dialogue. So I don't think that was... We're not going to be coming back to get an explanation for that, I don't think. But anyways, I think I've made the point there. We've never seen any Targ claim a second dragon. That's true, but there's no reason why you couldn't. If your dragon died, you should be able to claim another. It's just that you can't have two at the same time. So far as we know. Long time sub, first time super. I just want to say, give the show a shout out for the Velaryons, now portrayed as black, calling out white Targ hypocrisy. So I really think they are approaching it from a race blind writing standpoint. Like we're not really supposed to read the Velaryons as black. Corlys is giving like he's talking about bastardy, and comparing them straight across. And we've seen Corlys say to to Viserys, "We both have Valyrian blood in our veins." It's like incidental. But I understand the point. Like, it's for us modern audience, it's not lost on us. Yeah, like I feel you. I understand what you're saying. But it was mostly just about the bastard royalty class hypocrisy more than anything.
But we do get that, and this is something that you've talked about the kind of white supremacy vibes that you get from the Targaryens, and that's intentional. That's built into them,
Certainly.
Yeah, and it's compounded in the way that, their entire at least the royal houses of the Valyrians are completely okay with incest. That is a royal European thing. Like that's Habsburg, right? Like, so it's very much like keep the bloodlines pure. That's essentially promoting both racism and classism at the same time, elitism, no matter how you look at it. So, it was an interesting choice to kind of remove that from the equation. It also made it much less of an ambiguous thing that Rhaenyra's kids were not Laenor's. So like that is something that everybody had to react to and choose whether they were going to acknowledge it.
But they didn't even talk about, like, no one has said like their skin tone is wrong or anything like that. Like, they're not making an issue of it, and they're also not showing us, oh, the Velaryons get treated differently because their skin is darker. That's just not a plot element in this story. That's what I mean by the way that they're writing it.
Sure.
They're not saying, oh, well, this, like we're just supposed to assume some people from Valyria had darker skin. They're not related to the Summer Islanders. There's no backstory to explain it. They're just some people from Valyria have dark skin and some people have lighter skin. Silver hair is the marker. They drop the purple eyes. So, yeah.
It's a giant, giant empire. It's going to have many, many ethnicities in it.
That's the way. And plus, it's just a lot of modern shows do that. They just cast different sorts of people, and they're not doing the whole thing where, like, in the fantasy world, the people that look this way come from here. Like, we got some Dornish flavor that's a little different, but they don't really stick to that just because they want to cast different actors. And I think that's just the way Hollywood does it. So,
and we cannot be mad with any of the people they cast as Valyrians. They were fantastic.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy with all the. I like Bela's character expansion is really good. Adam and Alan are super awesome.
Yeah.
You want to get on this, Nettles?
No, definitely agree.
I'm ready for Bela and Alan.
Bela and Alan?
Yeah, see, they're also not addressing the idea that, okay, well, Velaryons have married into House Targaryen. The mother of the Conquerors was a Velaryon. So does that mean that Aegon and Visenya and Rhaenys should look mixed race? Like, I don't think they're thinking it through that far. I really don't.
No.
We're not going to see a family portrait and be like, oh, look, yeah, they got some flavor. I don't think that's...
We're not supposed to be looking at the show like, having like Maury test tubes on this. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
I also don't think they're really trying to connect the shows to each other as far as canon that much. They're just keeping each show consistent internally for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. So we've pretty much made the rounds here. I say that and there's always something else, but we talked about we've been to Rhaenyra several times in all her different phases of this. We talked about Alicent and Helena. We've talked about Daemon. And I do thank you for calling out Matt Smith. He continues to be such an incredible Daemon that he blends into the background of the show. He's just Daemon Targaryen. He's a pillar of the whole thing. His portrayal continues to be excellent. The conversation with Ormond, the two different personalities are so evident. Like, Ormond is a man who has a lot of self-control and he has a secret and he's faking. And Daemon is like, I've got 3 dragons. Bow down to me or I'm going to burn all of you. Oh, you're bowing down. Good. I kind of wanted to burn you, but I guess this is easier. All right, let's get out of here. Give me the kid. We're gone. Go home. very cavalier, very above it all. But he got fooled. He got played. So really a cool scene. And Matt rocks.
They also like spray painting his hair. Like they really gave Daemon what he expected to find. Like Daemon, we're doing Valyria 2.0, and they give him the most like bleach white Targaryen looking person, and he bought it without question.
He's like, you look a little inbred. Come on with me.
I thought of Tyrion becoming less and less smart, and I was like, oh, that's my first like, oh, Daemon can be fooled. I was like, let's see if you start making some weird decisions. Let's see.
Well, people haven't really tried to fool Daemon because, what would happen under normal circumstances if you did? It's not good. Daemon has a very direct conflict management style, and it's usually slice him or burn him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ormond is committed to this war. He's not giving up at all. Like, he's made a big bet here. He's now risk incurring the wrath of these dragon lords. I think part of his plan is that Tumbleton is a house loyal to Rhaenyra. So they've changed some of this from the books, but it seems like a lot of it they're building on it. So it's Footly that rules Tumbleton. Is it Footly? Somebody in the chat double check me. I believe it is Footly that is the Lord of Tumbleton. And basically it's a town that's been loyal to Rhaenyra. And so the Green Army is now occupying it. And so they presented it to Rhaenyra right away. The Dragon Keeper was like, oh, you're going to go burn Tumbleton? It's full of your subjects who are looking to you for help. So she can't just fly in there and burn the whole Green Army because they're embedded in the town. So now he's using the town as a shield, basically, Ormond is.
Crazy. Hightower is better than Aegon. Aegon tried to do a switcheroo with the twins. So we see the difference in Eric and Arik. That was Aegon trying to do some Littlefinger-esque like political machinations. Like, now we see a competent Hightower. So it's definitely a difference.
Yeah, I always like that because that's it's a call out to the greater Arthurian lore with Sir Balin and Sir Balan, where their names are basically the same but one letter different, and they're twins, and they end up fighting and killing each other at like some castle. Yeah, so it's George loves the deep lore, and I'm always happy to see him reference things without like compromising the reality of his world.
Thank you, chat. It is House Footly.
Yay.
Laris has entered the chat.
So that's exactly what they've done. In the books, the Hightower army is this freight train marching on King's Landing, and they've defeated everyone in their path, and all the remaining Rhaenyra forces gather at Tumbleton, fortify the town to get ready to face the Green Army. So they've changed that, but it still makes sense based on the idea that, just what we explained. So I think that is building to be the big penultimate battle of the season, but we'll see. We'll just have to see.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited for next week's. This was great setup. This is like a springboard about to dive.
That's a good way to wrap it up. I came into this episode really wondering where it was going from here. Like, we understood what we were getting with the fall of King's Landing and the Gullet, pretty much. Like, they've telecasted that. But where they went from there was kind of more of an open question. So we can see the King's Landing arc now in full effect. We've gotten character building of Ormond and Hugh and Adam and Ulf and this Corlys rift. So you can see a lot of stuff is getting ready to pop off here pretty soon. Sean, were you about to say something?
Oh, nothing important, just that I really like that Ormond is becoming an interesting character, because that's the guy who has to go head to head against somebody who's really going to be a fan favorite, that in Roddy the Ruin. So I'm looking forward to that.
We'll have to see how it goes down. There's a few pieces that are pretty different, but yeah, John Roxton, Ormond Hightower, they came to do some business for sure. And the other thing I was saying about, Daemon shows you what you can do as a king with a dragon or a queen with a dragon is you can be everywhere. He goes from King's Landing to the battle. Instead of delegating this, it's Daemon Targaryen negotiating with Ormond, and then Daemon reporting back to the queen like the next day. This is something you can't do without a dragon. And so, yeah, a dragon lord can be everywhere at once, kind of. That is a real power.
Aemon too, kind of showing the same things, which shouldn't be surprising to us at this point.
And yes, to talk about Hugh without getting too spoilery, he's now in a tough position. He knows his wife is at Tumbleton. And so and the Defiant Greens are at Tumbleton. Rhaenyra is going to have to address it. She is going to have to send an army and dragons out there to destroy this Hightower army. And Hugh's wife is in the city. So she becomes a vector, essentially, for all the people in the city who, again, are Rhaenyra's, not only her subjects, but this town has been loyal to Rhaenyra. Lord Footley has been loyal to Rhaenyra. And so, yeah, the Hugh's wife being in there just puts more of a spotlight on this problem of what to do now that the Greens have taken this town. I think the chat had the right answer. You go and burn Old Town. You burn that Hightower floor by floor until they submit, something like that. Yeah. Make it a short tower.
Really like blockade trade into Old Town. You know, like
you punish Old Town. Yeah.
Now that you've defeated the Triarchy and the pirates, and there's no longer a serious naval presence there, you can start blockading trade into Old Town, which all has to, and beyond that, you just start lighting up ships. You don't actually have to be, burning the city down and killing peasants.
You burn the docks, sure. You burn the garrison. You burn, there's things you can do to escalate the tension until they submit. So we'll see. We'll have to see if Ulf becomes a Lord of Old Town. Stay tuned, et cetera, et cetera. And thank you, Nettles, and thank you, Sean. Thank you, mods. Nettles, your smile is so wonderful. When you smile, it's just like it lights up the screen. It really does. I truly appreciate your presence. I hope I didn't go at you too much with the Daemon thing. I just wanted to press you on it.
No.
Okay.
Listen, I'm here. I'm here to say what I have to say, and you're here to say what you have to say. It's cool.
And I think that's a lot of, in all seriousness, what you do bring is like a different opinion sometimes. So it's not just like a bunch of glad handing and, Dave, I agree with you. Like, that's not interesting. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I take Daemon as a case-by-case basis. Like, some of the stuff I agree with, some of the stuff I don't. And, yeah.
And Daemon is also not wrong about everything. Sorry, Sean?
Oh, I just said you want to root for him. He's interesting. You want to root for him.
And he's not always wrong. Sometimes the thing that he's saying needs to be done. So this is part of the skill for writing, is where it's like, we're torn. We're torn. So he's not Maegor the Cruel. It's like he's just kind of extreme and a little bit elitist. It's sort of a god complex, but he does have Caraxes. Cool, guys. Well, thank you for coming out, and we'll see you next Sunday. It'll be, I think we're gonna have Estella is gonna be on next week, so we will have her, and she put out a video. Yeah, she put out a video on the lads yesterday, or maybe it was even this morning, actually. So check that out. She's got a fresh video out. And, that's it. Hero with 1,000 Voices, promoting himself in the chat because I am skipping over him. No, not rest in peace, Tim. Tim is still alive. He did a live stream yesterday. He's definitely still alive. I'm not dead. He's in the chat. He's just resting and rotting in the field so that he looks dead, but he's alive, guys.
Yeah. This was fun as always. Long live Daemon. He did nothing wrong. Rhaenyra's the goated, never did anything wrong. What else?
What else? That covers the basics. And yeah, Sean, Hero of the 1,000 Voices YouTube channel. A lot of content on Patreon, so check out his YouTube and his Patreon for his King Arthur videos that he's talking about.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. See you next time.
See you next week.